is absent as far as we know right now. Rosemary Eva,
Here.
Stu Hardy,
Here.
all right, Susan Gill here. Adam Raposa is absent. Dave Perry,
Here.
Peter Bramonti,
Here.
and Christine Shea.
Here.
Okay, great. And also we have present, let's see, we have Travis DaCosta is our solicitor tonight. I guess Rick Rogers will be here for the items at the end. And Joe Cardello from Steer was excused from tonight's meeting. So with that, I think we can go ahead and start. So the first item I'll read is Trilogy Tiverton LLC. It's a informal concept plan review, Sousa Road Condos Major Land Development, Plat 119, Lot 124, North Side Sousa Road, East Side Main Road, General Commercial and Pedestrian Friendly Zoning Districts discussion. So if the applicants are here, if they can introduce them, identify themselves.
So Jason, I know, is the attorney. Who else do I need to put?
Hi everybody. Hi, this is Jason Kambitsis from AR Building. I'm the actual applicant, and
Okay.
that's okay. Hey Jen, how you doing? And then Josh Berlinski is the attorney.
Okay.
And then Kate Tunney is the architect, and I think Chris is here from Dupree for engineering, unless Brandon's here.
No, it's Josh Berlinski, Jason, and Chris is on the call.
Okay, great.
Okay. I think I have everyone.
Chris who?
Okay, Tony.
For the record, Chris who?
Chris Duhamel, Duhamel, and
Duhamel?
he's with Dupree Engineering.
Okay. We're familiar with him.
So I'm told.
Is
Oh,
it
yeah, so we
possible
have-
to share our screen?
So I know we have Jason,
Yeah.
Josh.
And who is that?
This is Kate Tunney.
Kate. Okay. I think if I make you. Andrew, can you do that?
Sure.
This is Travis.
So this is Josh Berlinski. I didn't know if the planning board had a preference, but I thought I would maybe just say a few words, and then I would hand it off to Jason, who could talk a little bit about A&R, and then I think he's going to pass it on to Kate, if that works for the planning board.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and present this as a concept plan, whichever order you think, given the situation, however you want to do it.
Okay. So as Jason, my name is Josh Berlinski. I'm with the law firm of Darrow Everett in Providence, and we represent A&R Building Company in connection with this application. A&R is actually under contract to purchase the property from Trilogy Tiverton. And I think one of our submissions for the informal pre-app was the consent of Trilogy Tiverton to the application. But it's actually A&R Building that's making the application. So the property, as I think the planning board has seen, consists of 4 buildings located on approximately 8 acres, containing 180 multifamily rental units. I know that the plans that you have in front of you say condominium. That is an error. It is a rental project that A&R intends to submit as a comprehensive permit application under the Low and Moderate Income Housing Act of Rhode Island, as well as Article 21 of the Tiverton zoning ordinance.
Okay.
And A&R's intention is that 25% of the units, which equals 45 units, would be affordable. There's contemplated 251 parking spaces, as you can see, with a clubhouse, which will provide services for the residents. I spoke briefly with Mike Marcello and Travis regarding the comprehensive permit application, just to confirm that was A&R's intent. And I think Tiverton's familiar with the process. Obviously, A&R is required to go get a letter of eligibility from Rhode Island Housing prior to submitting its formal application. It's aware of those requirements. It's cognizant of what needs to get done, and it's looking forward for the opportunity to hopefully develop a real outstanding development in Tiverton. A&R has really made a name for itself in Rhode Island over the last 4 years, and they're continuing to hopefully make an impact and expand their footprint in the area. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I thought I would just pass it on to Jason.
Why don't you go ahead and continue?
Okay, I'll pick up from there. Hi, everybody. This is Jason Kambitsis. I'm the Senior Vice President of Acquisitions and Development for AR Building Company. AR Building Company is a 50-plus-year-old company located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're a little different than other companies because we build, buy, and manage all of our own stuff. We have over 9,000 units in 10 states. We have one owner. We have no partners or investors. So it's a little different than other companies in the sense that, we don't go to a board. We don't do anything. A small group of us, we make a decision and we go forward with it. As you can see, we've been very active in Rhode Island and the rest of New England. I actually implore you to go see some of our other projects. We're completing Reynolds Farm in North Kingstown, 225 units. We've completed Highland Hills in Cumberland. That's 198 units. We just finished Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 88 units. And of course, Kettle Point in East Providence, Rhode Island, 228 units. And as you can see, we have other projects, two in New London, Connecticut, one in Groton. And we actually have our own construction office that does the day-to-day work in New England in Westerly, Rhode Island. So as Josh stated, we've been an active force here in Rhode Island and the rest of New England on the multifamily front. Hey, Kate, I think you can go to the next slide here. So really, what we do is we do 4-story elevated apartment buildings. Really what we would be proposing here as a project would be this big picture here in the middle, which is at Reynolds Farm in North Kingstown. That is really a prototypical building in the sense. We use brick, AZAC, siding. We try to build these things for portfolio. Over the 50 plus years of the company, we've sold maybe 300 units. So, the people who are building these things or managing them, any issues you have, you come back to us. We continue to have relationships with the communities that we build in. I got a phone call from the fire chief on a project we started 6 years ago. He knows he can call me up. That happened today. I mean, that's the kind of company we are. It's the kind of project we build. We stand by it, and we're here for longevity. You can see just a couple other examples of projects on the top right there. Parcel J, New London, Connecticut, 137 units under construction. Of course, Kettle Point in the middle there. And the bottom is 60 Mansfield Road, New London. Kate, you can go to the next one. Again, another few pictures of Kettle Point, kind of showing you the project and really the kind of product we're proposing there. We like to build our projects with everybody having a open concept floor plan, big balconies, walk-in closets. We use granite countertops. We use high-end finishes. So these things feel more than an apartment, but more like a condo. These are places you go into. Not only do you want to be in them, your friends come over, they like to be in them, and they add a tremendous amount of value to the community. You can see our clubhouse there on the right with the pool at Kettle Point, and then the bottom finishing the last big building there at Kettle Point as well. Kate, next slide. We can talk about the site here. I'm sure you're all very, very aware of it here at the corner of Sousa Road. But, we've been looking at Tiverton for quite some time, and we came across this site and we're very excited about it. Not only has there already been a lot of nice higher end development happening in this area of Tiverton, we think Tiverton is ripe for new multifamily high end development. In the community right now, there's not a lot of other new stuff that's been built. Actually, I can't even see anything that's been built in the last 10 or 20 years, but we're proposing to do this to, bring people in who not only want to own property in the community, but now they can go and rent. What we find is a lot of people that move into our places, whether they're millennials or older people who want to downsize, they want to stay in their community. They don't want to leave the area, but they want to have another housing option. And that's really where we come in, and that's what this project would provide. Kate, I'm going to hand it over to Kate Tunney, but I don't know if Kate has anything else to add to that.
I think, Jason, I just want to to reinforce a little bit of what you said about AR's history. And we've been working with the company for 23 years as the architects and urban designers. We have done the architecture for all of their new construction. And so we have a long history and a long relationship. And working with AR and the unique nature that they both own, manage, and build their projects really helps to elevate the design and the placemaking attributes and just the care taken in the developments themselves. So we're excited for the possibilities here on this site. Right now, you're seeing a little bit of a closer view of the location near the intersection of Sousa Road and Main Road. The site does not extend to the corner there. It is surrounded by some single-family residential. And also we recognize that there is a historic cemetery at the one end of the site. And then an access drive that goes up just outside of the area that we're looking at. So one of the things that we do when we look at sites is try and understand the site forces. And these are the different influences that help to inform how best to use the site and create a great place. So some of our observations of this site were that you have some significant slope as the site extends down towards Maine, as well as towards Sousa. But you have a larger kind of buildable area set back a little bit. On one side, you have some really nice forest views, and on the other side, you have the harbor views. As we look at the architecture, understanding those views, especially with the large windows and balconies that we like to put into the apartments, those views are important as we think about how to place the buildings on the site. We're also recognizing the setbacks and the sewer easement, as well as the wetland. So these are all things that we take into consideration as we consider the design of the site. So as we take that into consideration and look at understanding how we can lay out some buildings on the site, what we're identifying here, and this is an early concept plan, would be an entry off of Sousa Road that wraps around and comes down to the lower area of the site with a clubhouse at the entryway, kind of marking as a gateway, a community amenity for the residents here. But then having a series of apartment buildings similar to what you had seen in the previous slides, looking at moving across the site and taking advantage of the views. So we have some buildings facing the woods. We have some additional wooden views, but then also trying to focus on capturing some of the corner views to the bay, looking out over Main Road. So what we were showing was a total of 180 units. And right now that would be roughly 88 one bedrooms, 92 two bedrooms, and approximately 251 parking spaces. And that was the conclusion of what I was going to share about the design. And I think, Chris, I was going to hand it over to you to talk through some of the engineering.
Chris there?
Chris there?
Unmute. Let's see.
He seems to be muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute him. I might be able to.
Does he have to do it?
Maybe. I just promoted him to a panelist, so he should be able to. Are you there, Chris?
Well, I mean, I think in the meantime, if he's not on, I can kind of speak to some of the engineering aspects of the property, as Kate kind of showed. You really have three separate pieces of this property. You have the bottom portion on Main Road, where Kate showed the significant slopes. And I think, Kate, you can probably go back to that and we can discuss that. You could see how.
Just a second, who's speaking again? Because we don't have.
This is Jason Kambitsis from AR
Okay.
Building. So,
All right.
You can kind of see from Main Road up to this plateau there. You could see, and I don't have it on me what the grade change is, but you've probably got hold on here, I'm looking at it because I don't have it off by hand, probably a 40-foot grade change, it looks like, from the bottom to the top. And then as soon as the road lifts up, it actually meets that plateau. The site goes up 10 to 20 feet onto the back. So you really have this kind of significant slope on the bottom, it plateaus, and then there's a larger portion that hits the high point near the cemetery. This was an old tank farm, as you all may know. What we've been looking at here is understanding how the environmental aspects of that roll into this site, and also the engineering aspects of looking at it in the sense that this was filled in, and over time they may not have done a compacting fill, but rather just filling it in on their own. So we're looking at other issues that pop up from this site. We're looking at maybe piers or kind of deep impact drilling, but at the end of the day, those are all kind of on-site issues that we have to deal with. The reality is the way it sits, the way the views are, it works very well for an apartment complex. We've also been in talk with the water authority, looking at taps and what's available. And at this point, we feel as though everything is in line to do this. We know over to the east, you've got this new housing development that's coming up. And I think to the north, there's an approval for another set of housing. So as it stands right now, it is surrounded by residential of various sizes. We feel that, moving to this and doing a multifamily development would only add to that by giving more housing choice, not only to the community that's already there, but people looking to come into Tiverton that are already excited about the other projects. So I think with that, if Chris doesn't chime in, we're able to answer any questions that pop up. We're an open book. If you have other questions beyond this, you're more than welcome to ask us and call us or email us. And I would actually implore you, if we move forward, you can come see our sites. We can set up a tour. You can see any site you want. We're happy to meet and talk and do whatever you need. So with that, I'll open up to any questions you may have.
Is Chris on? Is Chris going to be available? Jennifer, can you get Chris on?
Let's see. I have unmuted him. I don't know why it doesn't unmute audio.
He may be calling on the phone to.
I don't see anybody who's just a phone number anymore.
Does he have the chat feature available? Ask if he can hear us.
Well,
Yeah, this is Josh Berlinski. The only other thing I'll say is I know that Depreet has been and AR had engaged PAR Engineering to perform to work up traffic. And when this application proceeds to the next stage, there will be a traffic study that'll take into account the impact as well as the neighboring developments that Jason spoke of. So AR is cognizant that that's a concern of the town, and they will be prepared to address that at the next stage of the application.
Okay. I think we'll go ahead and move forward. If Chris can come on, if he can manage to get on at some point, we'll give him an opportunity to speak. What I wanted to do now is give planning board members the opportunity to ask questions, but also I was going to call on Jennifer at some point because we have new members on the board, and you could do a review of just the basics of what a comprehensive permit is, explain that to the members, and some of the basic parameters of it. If you don't mind. Okay, so I'll give you a little time to get that together, but in the meantime, if planning board members have comments they'd like to make, just let me know and I'll call on you. Anybody? Peter, I see your hand. I don't see anybody else right now, so. Is there a way to shrink the rest of the screen to get everybody else back on? Because I only see 4 people. All right, go ahead, Peter.
Well, so I have a couple of questions, but maybe whoever, whether it's Kate or Jason, who wants to address the first couple. Have you reviewed our comprehensive plan for the town?
You know what? No, I think we looked at it initially, and Kate's stepping in for our the lead architect on this. So I would say that he may have an answer for that. But no, I have not in depth. No.
Okay, well, I think that would be a good place for you to start because, you know, there's a number of things that are not in meeting what our comprehensive plan is for that area and in general. And so that would be very instructive, I think, for you to look at. The other thing is you are planning to apply for a zoning variance, correct?
This is Josh Berlinski. We're actually not intending to apply for a zoning variance, Peter. Under the Low and Moderate Income Housing Act, you can apply for a project regardless of zone. And so the planning board's approval, in effect, supersedes any other municipal approvals that would otherwise be required with the project. So it's incumbent upon the applicant to meet the criteria for the findings of fact that are set forth in both your zoning ordinance under Article 21, as well as the state statute. But so long as the findings of fact are made, such as consistency with the comprehensive plan and other elements that are akin to variance requirements, but you don't have to actually make the separate application. So, and I spoke with Mike Marcello and Travis about this a little earlier. So the way that the approach usually has taken, and I believe it's consistent with practice as well as the state law, is that the planning board's approval of a particular comprehensive permit application does not require any other approvals in place.
Well, and again, I would then, and I'm sure Jennifer has some additional things that she can share with you, but, you know, if when you review the comprehensive plan, you'll see that, you know, this particular area is actually within 2 different districts, and one of which is actually a mixed use district. It's not solely residential in terms of how the plan for it proceeds. So that is a little bit of an issue. I'm also wondering if you are aware, you mentioned the historic cemetery, but there is a local historic district that's on the National Register as well that is adjacent to this area. And when you mentioned deep impact drilling, that's a concern, I think, in terms of those neighbors in that historic district and other residents around. But I think really, first and foremost, it really for me at this point is just, you know, the main issue is compatibility with our comprehensive plan and a number of things around height, design, use, and so on and so forth that I think need much further information and reflection. That's all I have to say for now.
Okay, thanks, Peter.
Susan?
Susan, is it
Rosemary,
appropriate for me to?
Is that Rosemary?
Yes, I've had a problem with my screen. All I have is the plan up here. But I have concern to the applicant about I'm sure you're aware of the remediation that's been done on this property. I'm concerned about the safety. I'm concerned about the traffic in the location that you've chosen. The projects that you've noted, like Kettle Point, what is the status of that project? Is that in operation now, or is it in development?
Yeah, we're finishing the last large building, which will be delivered the beginning of next year.
Okay. How many units? Maybe you could get that PowerPoint.
It's 228 units.
228. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Could we have a copy of this presentation that you're giving us that we don't have in our packets?
Yeah, of course. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and in regards to the you know, everything involving with the environmental cleanup is very similar than what was done at Kettle Point. That was also a tank farm. So
yes.
From a state implication, environmental implication, this is almost exactly the same thing as what we dealt with at Kettle Point. So, yeah, and we are aware of the impacts, and realistically, we ran into absolutely no issues putting that together. But we are cognizant of that moving forward with this.
And you say you've talked to the water district. Would that be North Tiverton? We have 2 in Tiverton. So is it the North Tiverton?
I didn't hear you. There's two of them. Yes, I think it was North Tiverton. And what's the name of the other one?
Stonebridge.
Yeah, we talked. Stonebridge is actually the one that was that our engineer had told us about today that they've been in discussion with and what would service this. So
I thought it would be North Tiverton.
that's what he told me was Stonebridge. But again, I found that later on today. So
Thank you.
okay.
You done, Rosemary?
Yes.
Okay, Stu, did I hear your voice?
Yes, yes.
Ready?
I just have two quick comments to make. Peter raised the issue of our comprehensive plan. It's quite new. It was just approved by town council and approved by the statewide planning agency in 2018. I served on the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. We had a lot to do with putting it together and updating the previous iteration of our comprehensive plan. We did discuss this particular parcel, and we did all agree that its best and highest use was probably commercial because of the very easy access to Route 24, both on Main Road and on Fish Road. We felt that the plans that Starwood had put forward, or at least the broad concept that Starwoods had put forward back 20 years ago for commercial development, but small commercial development on this roughly 10-acre lot, was very good and was probably the best and highest use. We don't have many places in Tiverton where we can do commercial, and this was one of the best places for it. So we did give a lot of thought to zoning this commercial, not residential. The second point I'd like to make is that we do have a provision in our zoning, Article 5, Section 2B, and I'll just read this to you. In any district, not more than one structure housing a permitted use may be erected on a single lot. This would require a waiver from the planning board to proceed with your project. We would have to grant a waiver, but it is within the prerogative of the planning board to do that. So the reason why we adopted this provision in our zoning is to keep Tiverton's character small town and not look like any suburb USA. So that's a provision that has been in our zoning for a long, long time, and you would need a waiver from that provision to do what you're proposing to do. So those are my only two comments.
This is Josh Berlinski. I could respond to your second point briefly, which is you're absolutely right that a waiver is required. Under Article 21, if and when the planning board was inclined to approve the comprehensive permit, our application has to list all the sections of the zoning ordinance that we'd be seeking relief from or a waiver from. And then it's obviously within the planning board's discretion to approve that comprehensive permit, including those waivers or not including those waivers, as well as any other conditions that it seems fit and appropriate for the project. So we obviously, it's incumbent upon us to show you that there's a rationale to that application, to that request. As to the first point, I would just say that my firm does a lot of development and permitting throughout the state as well as Southeastern Mass. And the whole status of commercial development and commercial construction is an uncertain animal right now. And understand exactly what you see. A&R is incredibly concerned about maintaining the character and isn't looking to disrupt the flow of any town or city that it operates. But commercial and industrial and retail, the question is what's that going to look like from when you've completed your comprehensive plan amendment 2 years ago, as to what it's going to look like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, especially given the current state of affairs. And again, that's completely incumbent upon us to make that case to you, that that this is an equally important use than what was initially contemplated by the comprehensive plan. But thank you very much for the comments.
Josh, if I may, or Susan, if I
Oh, there's Chris.
apologize for arriving late. I lost power in my my home here in Westerly. But if there are any issues, we would certainly be willing to work with the planning board and look at the streetscape and preserving the view corridors and providing the pedestrian access through the site. All goals of the comprehensive plan that we would meet through this process. So this is the very beginning of this, that we're willing to get comments and work with you and optimize the value of this corner.
I had one question, Chris. I don't know if you could answer. I also on here it listed that the lot coverage was 9.5%. It looks like a lot more than that. I mean, are you counting only the buildings? You're not counting all the parking area?
Just the building areas would equate to that.
Are you doing pervious pavement then?
The drainage system is, we would consider that. The soils on site are urban development soils. They're all altered soil, so it's not really conducive to pervious pavement, but we'd be looking at the drainage system, improving the water quality off the site, meeting all the DEM requirements. So I'm not certain that pervious pavement is warranted on this.
Right, but we have 20% lot coverage. If it was done as residential, I mean, you have to have 20%, and it looks like a lot more than 20% lot coverage. So that's just another thing to consider.
Okay.
I'm just curious if you had. I wasn't sure how you came up with the 9.5% calculation. So I just wanted to make a couple of comments also. I'm kind of on the same track of a couple of the other people that have to do with the comprehensive community plan. And I also want to acknowledge that we did receive 2 emails from local residents, one from Susan Anderson and one from Renee Jones, that have been distributed to planning board members and put into the record, even though this isn't a public hearing. And they voiced objections to this project. The concerns I have are, one, that the front portion is pedestrian friendly zoned, the back portion is general commercial zoned. You're asking us to waive that and go to an R60. Again, in the future land use map that was done in the new comp plan, it very clearly indicates that this is commercial, and it shows that what the town was trying to do is create that corridor. Because of the limited commercial space, because there is access to public water and sewer in that area. In the economic section, element 10 on page 126, it does comment that Main Road at the southern end of the commercially zoned section, close to the villages and Mount Hope Bay, opportunities exist for the redevelopment of vacant or underutilized parcels into new commercial, retail, and service development. I find that this is something that was outlined as basically a goal within the comp plan. I believe there was something in housing also, but I didn't earmark it for this meeting, that I'm not sure that it fits into that. So I mean, I think you very clearly are going to have to make a case for findings in land use, in housing, and in economic development to get this board to override this commercial zone to turn it into residential. Reminding you that the project to the north is proposing 52 townhouse units, and the project to the east is proposing 275 units of, I think there was one apartment, there's multifamily, duplexes, and single family homes, and that is with the villages across the street, that's 232 units. That is really putting a heavy burden on traffic and on schools for development in this section of town. I think that's kind of that's going to be kind of a hitch. When I looked at it, calculating your 8.1 acres, even if you went with R60, I mean, that yields less than 6 lots and you're asking for 180 units, I think you're going to have to provide us very compelling reasons why we should go from 5 lots if we did it residential to 180 units. Another concern I think Peter mentioned was the height. I mean, we do have a height standard that we'd have to waive. 45 feet on top of that elevation is going to be towering over the town, which really I think does create a conflict with the kind of the look that we want in the town. Let's see, what else would I have? And I think those were probably the biggest features that I had at the concept plan stage. I think it's kind of, I know the town does need affordable housing. We're just a little over 5% of the 10%, but I know we have 88 units proposed for the project to the east and 12 units proposed for the project to the north. And I'm just not sure if adding this is more compelling than keeping these lots for commercial development. So those are my concerns, my issues, I guess. I don't know if you want to comment on any of them or just it's food for thought to digest, but I think that's where a number of us are at. And I don't know, Jennifer, at this point, if you want to review any other points in the comp permit that would relate to this project.
I think you covered really good points. I think that the town was envisioning that this was a pedestrian-friendly district, and I believe that on Main Road, that's where you're going to propose your drainage system partially, and it does. There isn't that much commercial development, and that's what the town wants. I think you hit a lot of the points, Susan. I did have some questions if you've done a phase 1, phase 2 of the property already.
Phase 1 has been completed and a phase 2 is being evaluated.
Okay, so
It is a former tank farm and we are concerned.
Yeah. That's, I mean, if people, I think that I put a link in the chat to direct you to the low moderate income housing section, and it shows that there is a list of required findings that that are required. So what happens is, instead of a applicant going to the zoning board, they do everything in the planning board stage. If they do a comprehensive permit, which means that they need to do 25% or more of affordable housing. And that's what Josh was speaking about. But it still has to fulfill the comprehensive plan. I mean, that's what we've been talking about, so.
Jennifer, I know the other thing is that since the planning board, it's like a unified review that we do the waivers or grant anything that the zoning board normally would do. So if this was waited before the zoning board, they would have to get a variance. Would it have to meet those same standards if we grant the waiver to convert this to R60?
You would grant all the waivers as part of the comprehensive permit. It wouldn't become R60. It would still be general commercial unless the town council changes the zone. So, but you wouldn't go to the zoning board at all for anything.
Right. Right. I mean, but they would be asking for a height waiver. They would be asking for a use waiver.
Yes,
they
tons.
would be asking for what other waivers they'd be asking for.
Yeah, a use waiver. There is no multifamily housing allowed in general commercial. It's only mixed use, which means you would have commercial on the bottom and apartments or condos above. The normal our normal residential height restriction is 35 feet, and this is 52 feet. So there would be a lot of waivers that would be needed. And I think even on the concept plan, it mentions that it states that even if you went with R60, it would only allow 28 unit or 27 units. So you're asking for 180. So there's a lot.
Could I ask a question on the pedestrian friendly zone? We're leaving that pretty much undeveloped. Is there any desire to create a park-like area in that area, or more of a desire to be commercial?
Are you going to put drainage there? I thought I saw it on the.
There is an outline showing that drainage would end up there, but it's certainly not developed or designed rather. There is the opportunity to have underground drainage. I'm just trying to vet out.
Yeah, I think it was really, I think the town wanted it commercial because it has access to sewer, because there's so few places in town that actually have public sewer. And this is one of the corners that has access to sewer and town water for development of commercial.
Okay.
And to give that up, I don't know, it's a tough road. And I don't know if when you looked at the town, I mean, there's 2 other lots in the area that are already zoned R60. I don't know if I'm supposed to not direct you specifically to those areas, but I don't know if those were considered, that you wouldn't have to go through, the process of taking up the commercial land when there's 2 large lots within your half-mile radius that are already zoned R60.
That corner lot,
Rosemary, yeah.
the corner lot there that you don't own, I mean, we don't know what's going to go there either. That would.
No, Colbia owns it, Rosemary. They're the service station.
The Trilogy
Shell service station owners, the Seasons service stations.
So that would be commercial.
Trilogy no longer owns that, correct? Yeah.
I mean, when the presentation was going about the corner views to the bay, I didn't know what was going to be on that lot.
There's nothing planned right now, but we do work for Colbia, and they build Seasons stations, and there's quite an elevation drop from any particular structure. You would look over it.
Okay.
Susan, I have some questions also.
Oh, Dave, all right, go ahead.
There is sewer on Sousa Road, correct?
Yes.
It comes up from down below, all the way up Sousa, correct? Okay.
12-inch.
If these are just questions.
Yeah, there's access to sewer because it goes to the villages and it goes over Sousa to the police station.
Right, and then it goes across.
Right, so there is access.
That's what I thought. I know we spoke about the height of these, and I guess they're too high for whatever we have in a comprehensive plan. But I'd like to know whose view we're going to be blocking. They're up on top of a hill. I don't think there's anybody up there. So whose view are we going to block? I have a concern about getting water to there, and I know you said you spoke to not Tiverton Fire or one of them. But I do have some concern about water going into there. And I'd just like to make a couple of comments. If we were looking at putting commercial property in there right now, someone would have a gripe about putting commercial property in there. For some reason, we don't want to put anything anywhere. We had a chance to put commercial property down on the right-hand side, and what happened? It got shot down. So no matter what we try to do, somebody's going to have an opinion and they're going to shoot it down. And looking to just through the tea leaves here tonight, listening to people speak, I don't think you're going to get approval from this board. So I think you're best going through the other board, not this one, because you're not going to get approval.
Well, you don't know that, Dave. You can't speak.
Well, you know, listening to
preemptively.
people talk, I mean, you hear people talking, everybody's against this.
Well, I think there are hurdles that need to be,
Of course there are.
that need to meet our required findings. And then that would be up to the applicant to make their case and their pro forma and a lot of that, but we can't preemptively make a decision one way or another. We're just giving them feedback right now as the applicant to you know, some of the things that we see as maybe not conforming to the comp plan or to our zoning ordinances. And I think that's fair, but that's not making a determination that we would automatically deny it.
Well, if I was the contractor, just from listening to what was going on tonight, I'd be very skeptical that it's going to get passed by this planning board.
Okay, you have any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. I don't know, does the applicant have any other questions or comments that you want to make? I mean, you presented the concept plan. I don't know if we're supposed to give you a whatever you want to do to go forward. I don't know if Travis is there, if he has any comments he wants to make. Otherwise, you know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but everybody disappeared.
Oh, I know. We're back now.
No, I don't really have too many comments to make. The only thing I would say is just because this is an informal concept plan, it doesn't mean it has to be the only informal concept, meeting or forum on this. So, you know, obviously applicant, whatever you feel that you still would like to say, I'll give you the floor, but there could be another one of these if that's what you'd like.
Oh, you mean to present an alternative?
No, I'm just saying it, you know, I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be just one informal and then jump right into a master application. You know what I'm saying? So.
There, and just so the applicant knows, there are 3 members that are absent tonight, so they haven't had the opportunity. They received the packet, but they haven't had the opportunity to hear your presentation. So, yeah, you can take that into consideration as well.
Josh, are you there?
I'm here. No, I think this has been extremely helpful. We've gotten the feedback. I think, you know, I'm not sure, Jason, I don't want to speak for you. I'm not sure that we think that there's anything here to necessarily redesign right now. I think that it's incumbent upon us, based on what we've heard tonight, to see whether or not it's worth taking, you know, what if anything is worth bringing back to the planning board. And, you know, there's nothing to stop AR from seeking the letter of eligibility and making the application for the comprehensive permit. And we'll obviously let Mike and Travis and Jennifer know how we proceed. But the purpose of this meeting is just to seek your feedback and gauge the concerns, so we know what the best way is to proceed should we elect to going forward. So in that sense, I think this is extremely helpful.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other comments or questions then?
Jason, I didn't mean to preempt it. If you had anything else, please feel
No,
free.
that's good. You
Okay.
said it all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll wait to hear from you then.
All right. Thank you so
All
much.
right, Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yep, bye.
Okay.
Has anyone else lost the feed? I don't see.
I don't see you. Anyone? We see you, Peter.
I know you see me. I don't see any of you. Like my whole little dialogue box went away.
Oh,
Did that happen to anyone else or no? I may have to exit and rejoin the meeting.
no, I've got 4 faces and then black boxes and 2 phones.
I had no faces for a time there, just the plans. I mean, it's been doing all kinds of hiccups tonight.
Yeah.
Susan, there is Sue Anderson has her hand up. I don't know if you wanted to let her speak or.
Oh, well, the applicants I think have left, so I don't know. And it was a concept plan, so I know she submitted a letter. I don't know if the applicants have gone. I don't know if it's, I think she should, Susan, I think it's best to just save your comments for the next time because the applicants have left.
Yeah,
And we did receive.
right. This isn't even.
Yeah, it's not a public
Sorry,
hearing.
go ahead.
It was a concept plan. If you observe this, you submitted your email, which has been distributed. So I think, and I just would want the applicants to be able to hear your comments if that was what you were going to comment on. So I think we'll continue to push forward. So item number 2 is Robert and Colleen Barboza, time clock extension, Barboza Estates, 2-lot minor subdivision, plat 510, lot 109, 267 King Road, north side King Road, west of Cornell Road, R80 zoning district, discussion and possible vote. Time clock expires August 26, 2020. So, I believe Mr. Barboza submitted a request for a time clock extension to November 26th. I don't believe he's on the line, is he? Okay.
No, he's not. And we did see that he applied for his engineering firm, applied for a DEM permit in July.
Okay. So in that case, hopefully we'll be hearing from him soon. This has been an application that's been hanging for 2 years, hanging around for 2 years. So hopefully we'll be hearing from him in the next couple of months.
Do I have a question on this application?
Sure, go ahead.
How many times have we given them an extension?
Well, this is different. We're just extending the time clock that the planning board has to take action. It's been kind of complicated. It was an initial application that required DEM approval and zoning approval. And he has the zoning approval. We've been waiting for him to get the DEM approval. There've been some hiccups along the way, granted. You know, I think if he's not ready to have us review this by the November 26th, I think if we give him advance notice, then at that time we could decide whether to deny the application or if he's ready to present it for our review, we could go ahead then. Because I recognize we've been giving him it's basically a courtesy to extend this continuously. Basically, it's to save him having to refile and pay the application fee again.
This isn't because you never did an approval. I'm just, it's, yeah.
Correct. We started it. He had a certificate of completeness issued, but then the application, we found that it needed to get a DEM approval for, because it extended into the perimeter of the wetlands, and then he also needed zoning relief for a side yard setback.
So is he looking for a 90-day or a 6-month? What is he looking?
July to November, was that 90 day? August, September, October, November. That's 4 months. July.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to extend it 4 months.
I second that.
Motion to, you want 4 months or do you want the night? He requested November 26th. Do you want to do November 26th?
Whatever he requested. If he thinks he's going to have it ready by the 26th.
Okay, so we'll amend your motion to November 26th.
Okay. So
And,
that's
so
11/26.
do you want to second the amended motion?
I second the amended motion.
Okay, thanks, Stu. Okay, so we have a first and second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, I have to do a roll call here. Oh gosh, I need my cheat sheet. Okay, Rosemary. Everybody needs to unmute their mics because I have to do a voice vote.
Okay.
Rosemary, Christine, you need to unmute your mics. Rosemary, unmute your mic.
Lost my screen.
Oh, great.
Oh.
We can hear you though.
Okay,
Oh,
so
good.
Rosemary,
before you vote, I think you should check a calendar. Isn't that around Thanksgiving?
Probably,
That
but
does-
hopefully he'll be back to us before.
let's see.
It is,
The,
26th is
Yeah, it
Thanksgiving.
is Thanksgiving. That's fine.
Sorry.
That would be a good end date. I don't know. Does anybody want to amend it again or to leave it at November 26th? Okay, we'll leave it at November 26th.
Oh,
So the motion has been made, amended, seconded, amended for November 26, 2020. So, all right, we'll do a voice vote. Rosemary?
yes.
Okay. Stu?
Yes.
All right. Susan, yes. Dave?
Yes. Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And Christine?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 6. Okay, all right, so that's been extended to November 26th. And you can, if Jennifer, you can let Mr. Barboza know. He's good for a few more months. Okay, moving right along. Number 3 is Tiverton Planning Board. Item A is approval of minutes, July 21st, 2020. The draft has been done, but it hasn't been distributed, so that will be ready for the next meeting.
Motion to continue.
Okay. Do we need a vote? for
Second.
that?
Second?
Yes.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Oh, Dave, okay. All right, gotta go through the voting again. Rosemary,
Yes.
Stu,
Yes.
Susan, yes. Dave,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Christine.
Yes.
All right, great. Okay, excellent. All right, moving on to B, review of past sureties and possible vote. We have 3 items to consider. Earlier today, I thought we're going to have these people present, or Rick Rogers, I think he was on vacation, but he has come back to assist us. So, and I guess the applicants or the parties involved are also present. So we will go forward with reviewing these sureties. The first one is DeMello Edward Avenue, Fund 540. So is Mr. DeMello or somebody representing him here?
Is this, who is PMM? I'm gonna allow them to talk.
I
I don't know
who they are.
Who are you, PMM? I don't see anybody there. Maybe they left.
Is there anybody here to represent the Edwards Avenue surety? Mark DeMello
No.
or Awashanks?
Motion to continue.
Second.
No one present.
I have a question. This is Rick
What
Rogers.
do you?
All right, so we have a motion to continue in a second. And so for comments, we have Rick. All
Yeah.
right, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Susan.
Yeah.
Do you need him present if you're going to release the surety?
Yes.
Well, this was requested, but apparently by the applicant, so I assumed he was going to be here, and I thought I was told earlier today that he was going to be here. So I don't know if anybody had might have questions for him.
Can we just clarify the time frame for the continuance on the motion?
Rosemary?
Is it just till the next meeting, or?
Continue to the next meeting. The applicant was not there to answer questions.
All right, let's and do we have an let's amend that and have an amended second.
Okay.
Stu?
Second.
Okay.
Stu.
Okay.
We have discussion.
Sure.
Yes, we can have some, I mean, not about the whole, yeah. Rick, did you finish what you wanted to say, or?
Does anyone have questions?
Yeah, I do. I have I can ask Rick if he's there. Rick, were you up there? There was a question about the T at the end of the road. Was that done by it was supposed to be inspected, I think, by the fire department. Is that copacetic?
Rosemary, it's my understanding that the fire department is okay with that, but I don't know if there's anything in writing. DPW has seen it. DPW is satisfied that it's properly installed. But to answer your question, Rosemary, I do not know if there's anything in writing from the fire department. Jennifer may know, but I do not.
There is nothing in writing. I can, if we continue it, I can ask them to put something.
I'm concerned. I mean, for transparency, the planning board's taken a lot of hits over the years. I mean, I don't mean to belabor this, you know, but I mean, I think everybody should be on board and we should dot the I's and cross the T's. I mean, I don't mean to be picky, but.
Well, the thing to note from the June 4th, 2019 meeting minutes says a discussion ensued about requiring updated letters from the fire and police departments concerning sufficient turnaround for emergency vehicles and a possible stop sign recommendation from the police department. So I think we would probably be our best interest to get updated letters from them, because that's basically what we set it up for before we release the surety. That would be my recommendation. I mean, I was up there today and I saw there was a stop sign, but I would like to make sure that the fire department is satisfied with the T turnaround before we release the money, in case any other work needs to be done, because the road does end. It goes into wetlands, and there's a telephone pole, and there was another tree at the end. So I don't know if that's if that's enough room for it to stop, or if it needs to be a little longer. So I would like some clarification from the fire department before we release the funds. And since Mr. DeMello isn't here tonight to speak on his behalf, I think it would be probably.
I want to say that I definitely will ask them, but the thing is about the minutes is it says discussion ensued about updated letters. I've been reading about your motions, and you really, if you want to require that in the future, you really need to put that in your motion, that's what you want. You can't, pulling things out of minutes is just something that someone said during the meeting. It isn't necessarily what you've all decided as a board, but I will do that.
Okay, so I guess we're back to it. I don't know how the board feels. I guess we could take a vote on this, and if people feel they want to continue this till the next meeting, we will. If people feel like they want us to take a vote tonight to release these funds, I guess we can, you know, if it doesn't pass, then we'll finish it tonight, I assume. So I'll go through.
Can I ask a question, Susan?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Dave.
Is there someone representing Peckham here? Is there someone representing Karam here?
There is somebody for Peckham.
How about Karam?
I don't see them.
So we're going to deny that one also.
Well, those were brought forward by the planning board. This one was brought forward by the applicant. There is a distinction as far as this was a request by Awashonks for release of the surety. That's an active one now. But
I don't think we should be denying one because he's not.
The other items.
One because he's not. That's it either. We've got to be consistent.
Right.
We are. It's the other two are part of inactive sureties that we've been trying to clean up that I mentioned last time at the meeting. So we did not separate it out on the agenda, but the other two are more housekeeping for the planning board and the department, the treasury here in town hall, where Cheryl DeMello actually asked for the money for this particular surety.
Travis, did you have something? You wanted to comment?
I think that's a good analysis. I mean, if the latter two are simply because we know that the sureties are no longer needed and the board is the one who's trying to clear these matters up, I think it's a very different burden than having an applicant seeking the money and showing that the surety is no longer needed. And I would agree with what you're saying, Jen.
Right, right. I think that's the distinction here. So, all right. Is there any other discussion before we go to the vote?
Yes,
Oh,
I have to apologize to Jennifer. In part of the discussion, my phone went off and I had to get away from the screen here about what happened with the minutes and what you were saying. So I apologize, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow or something.
Okay.
okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and
So,
do a
so
roll.
right now, I think.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Travis.
So right now, just to bring everybody back, we're in discussion on a amended motion to continue for the DeMello matter. So if there's any more discussion, I think we can move on to a roll call.
Right, the motion is to continue this item to the next meeting, right? Okay, and we have a motion and an amended second. Okay, so I'll go through the roll call. So we have Rosemary,
Yes,
Stu,
Yes.
all right, Susan, yes, Dave,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Christine.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so this will be placed on the September agenda, and hopefully Mr. DeMello and I don't know if you could just, it says if Rick could find out about the T turnaround, or Jennifer or somebody.
I will do
I
that.
think just to clarify that, or Mr. DeMello, somebody.
Okay.
All right, great, thank you. All right, so the next item is Dave Peckham, Farrell Bank Farm, Fund 512. This is one of the old sureties that was been hanging around for a long time that we're trying to clear out of our books. You have a packet. It stems from 2009. There are some meeting minutes in your packet. There was a $2,000 surety escrow that was put down for some hydro seeding of a swale that was out for drainage. And also there was a swale maintenance agreement was required. So, and I think Jennifer, is this the one that you?
Yes, I found the recorded maintenance agreement. I have the book and page, so
Okay.
it has been recorded.
So there is all right. And then we have the additional letter, the minutes, and then we also have Rick, if you want to comment on it.
Yes, thank you, Susan and Jennifer. And thank you, Jennifer, for finding that agreement. As stated in my letter, if the agreement was signed and recorded, which I just found out it has been, DPW has no objection to the release of the $2,000 surety.
Okay. Did you find it? I tried to find it today and I couldn't find it, but I'm not sure where it actually was. Did you go? Have you been down there? Have you seen this? I guess where the swale is and that it's been, I mean, it sounds like from past that it was, but I just want to make sure it is functioning, operational before we release the funds. Have you located it?
If you're talking to me, Susan, Rick at DPW, I have not been down there specifically to look at the swale. I have been down to that area many times, and I'm not aware of any current drainage issues.
Okay. We have, I think, is Liz Peckham still here? Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
She's the
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, did you guys catch me doing a little outburst a second
No.
ago? I'm sorry if you did. Okay, good. there was a technical glitch just as this issue was coming up.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know technically how I can do this. I have a photograph of the area. My understanding was that this was something where they needed to basically lay down something like a cover crop so that there wouldn't be erosion years ago. There was seeding of some sort. So I have on my computer a photograph. I don't know, and it shows it in full beautiful green coverage. There's not a big ditch or anything like that. This is my understanding is that this is a very wet patch that needed to get seeded. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah, Liz,
So
this is Stu.
Oh, Stu.
Oh, hi.
Go ahead, Stu.
Hi, Liz. Stu Hardy.
Hello.
Just wanted to say that this goes way back to when Steve Berlucci was DPW director, and it was to stabilize an area where erosion was a concern. So I'd just like to say that all of the conditions have been met for approving the release, I believe. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to release the surety.
I'll
Terrific.
second that.
All right, is there a second?
Okay,
Yeah, let's have a second and we have discussion. Second, who seconded it?
Dave.
I did.
Dave? Okay, all right, discussion?
Pretty straightforward.
I have concern. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I have a concern if the receiving this backup and there was no plan and not knowing and Mr. Rogers hasn't been down there, I just feel uncomfortable releasing monies that we're not sure about. But that's my take on it. I mean, there was no attachments with this backup information that we got. I mean, as far as the exhibits went on plans. But
This
I'll abstain.
I'll
Yes.
barge in. We heard about this just so recently, and frankly, Pete, Jason M. Peckham, the farmer,
Right.
my boss and father-in-law, said, "Oh, right, this is sort of lost in the mist of time." But we, as I say, so the best that we have to offer as far as supporting information goes is a picture that shows how it's covered in greenery. It looks like a regular field. I don't know if I can try to share my screen. Would that work? I mean, I don't know if that, again, I'm not sure if
I
that's
think
sufficient.
you can. Actually,
Okay.
I made you a panelist. I think
Okay.
you can.
Hang on,
Do you know
let's
how to
see.
do that? Your Zoom.
Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. Let's
Scroll
share.
down to the menu bar. There's a share screen.
There. Can you see?
Yes.
Ah, very good.
Wow.
So that was just taken today, and it's for what again, I don't know, I have zero knowledge of what the sort of technical requirements are of this project, but it was recently mowed. They can mow there. It's not a muddy patch. It's not draining into anything. As it's very fully vegetated, if that's the word. There it is.
So,
All right, so that's the swale?
That's the swale.
so Liz, was there a subdivision in place down there? Has it been sold? Has it been built on or what?
No, it's part of the farm. It's some bit of the, maybe, this is part of the farm. It's not sold. It's, no plans to sell it. It was just, years ago, they sold a bit to Richard St. Aubin, and that might have been part of that. But I'm sorry, I don't have good info. All of the as far as what the purpose of the project was in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah, it was listed as a minor subdivision, 5 lots. So I guess it never, I don't know if it
Right, it didn't take place.
It was never built out. But can you email that to Jennifer just so we can have that photo for the file? And Rick, if that's acceptable to you?
Sure, of
Yes,
course I can
thank
email
Yes, thank you, Liz and Susan, and I certainly understand, Rosemary, your concerns, but DPW's understanding is that the surety was simply for two items. One was that it was hydro seeded, and one that there was a maintenance agreement in place.
Oh, I understand, Rick, but I just feel uncomfortable getting a document that's not been signed. You know, tonight, at least Jennifer found the document that's been recorded apparently, but I just don't feel comfortable with it. It's not your fault. You are giving us what you have, but it's not.
Sure. Well, and also we're, it's not like we've been sitting around saying, gee whiz, when are they going to give back that $2,000? You kind of forgot about it. So there's not a massive rush. If you want, whatever documents you require or anything of, let us know what you need.
No, it's not your fault, Liz.
Oh,
well, there's a maintenance agreement, so as long as it's maintained. And then who do the funds get released to? I guess that's what we needed to know as well. So if we vote to cut the check, who does it get made out to? Would it be Farrell Bink, or would it be either Jason or you, Liz?
Either Farrell Bank or Jason. Either one is fine.
Okay.
I would assume the farm. I mean, I'm not sure who. It was probably the farm who put the money into the.
Right. Yeah, it's listed on the Farrell Bank Farm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to amend the motion to release the $2,000 to Farrell Bank Farms.
Yes, amended.
So, Stu, you're second the amended. Okay, is there any further discussion? I think they've met the two requirements. The agreement is recorded and they showing the area has been seeded and maintained. So I'll go through, if anybody else has any other questions.
Did you second that?
Yeah, Stu seconded the amended motion. Right, Stu?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, he amended it. Yeah, Dave made the original, Stu amended this, seconded the amended. All right. So are we ready to do the roll call vote? Okay. Rosemary?
Abstained.
Stu?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Dave?
Yes.
Dave, yes.
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And Christine?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have a 5-0-1. Okay. All right. So Liz,
yes,
we will get a check cut and assume it will go to the address on your application to Farrell Bank Farm. That will be the $2,000.
great.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. This is awesome. And I will email am I supposed to email the picture to
Yeah,
Jennifer?
we're going to planner, and also actually then if Jennifer can supply it to Rick, to DPW, just so they have it in file too, so they know they have a picture of the soil, so if there's any issues in the future or questions.
Yes, so my email is planner@tiverton.ri.gov.
Fantastic. Will do. Thank you all very much.
Thank
And
you very
bravo
much.
on continuing these meetings. This was fun. Anyway,
Merry Christmas, Liz.
Up for debate on our end.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, so the next item is J. Karam, Tiverton Point Fund 518. This is another old one stemming back from 2009. So this is right over the Nanaquacket Bridge. It's that first property there. And it was that, I guess some stormwater treatment was supposed to be done for the triangle. And then some work was done and just the funds were never released. I do have a question for you, Rick. So it's been kind of confusing because I know like a year or two ago, the whole area was landscaped down to the bridge. I don't know if you were here for that. And then DOT kind of reclaimed it and removed it. So I don't know if the triangle is referencing the triangle area that's been opened up. That's just the dirt access point for people that fish on the bridge. Do you know if that's what this is referencing?
Yes, I'm happy to be corrected by anybody who knows better, Susan. There was two areas that were going to be have work done. One was the PAP, the physical alteration permit area, issued by the state DOT, which included part of the triangle, but then also the driveway modification. And my understanding of the minutes is that they removed the triangle area part of it from the discussion. Nonetheless, at some point, the triangle area was modified. I'm not saying without a permit, but that later on, because this dates back to 2009, 11 years ago, that there was some modifications made there. Later on, it was found that the DOT adopt a spot section didn't have the full authority to make that determination of adopt a spot without input from, I think it was CMC, it might have been also DEM. So there were removal of some of the landscaping, in particular the curbing, which then re-allowed access to that area for parking. But to my knowledge, this was not part of the surety. My interpretation of the minutes and the reviewing the information was that it was simply for the private drainage improvements, and that I believe it was Mr. Core back then, because it was a environmentally sensitive area, even though it was private drainage improvements. He wanted the town consultant, Commonwealth Engineers, to do a peer review of the developer's engineer's certification of the private drainage improvement, and that there was notes saying that $750 surety was placed. A inspection fee of $168 was paid out. That was back in September 09. And DPW files indicate no additional pertinent records. So DPW has no objection to the release of the surety. And by my math and review, it's $582.
Right. Right, because I think everything else along the curb from his driveway down, it's all lawned and curbed. So I don't know where he would have any responsibility for any drainage that I could see. I didn't know if you could clarify it. It sounds like you have. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments?
I have a quick question. I think I'm in a butter to that property. So would I just recuse myself in this situation?
Travis?
Do you think it'll affect your ability to vote? I don't really think it's
not at all. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I don't think it's that contentious. I think you'll be all right. But if you feel like you shouldn't, then it's okay. You can abstain from it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So we need a motion to approve the refund of the surety.
Right, the $500.
Correct.
Yeah, the $582.
No. Exactly. So I will now make that motion.
Okay.
Second?
Who's that, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And I assume it'll go to Mr. Karam. I assume. I'm not sure if there's any other entity that would go to. Okay, so we have a first and a second to release the $582 to Mr. Karam. All right, so we're going to do the roll call. Roll call vote. Rosemary?
Yes.
Stu?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Dave?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And Christine?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, 6. All right, so that will be refunded. Okay, excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. We can release you now. Go back to your vacation. Thank you for appearing tonight just to answer any questions that we had so we could get through these.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Jennifer, Susan, and all of you. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Have a good vacation. Rest up. Okay. Okay. Next thing. Okay, so we don't have any other report. Let's see. Okay, so I guess we're going to move right ahead into the meat of the matter. Here, there's the checklist. Let me get mine organized. So what the checklists are in November. Oh, I guess I'll read the item. C, amended checklist and subdivision regulations, public hearing and possible vote. So this was an advertised public hearing. It was advertised in its current times 3 consecutive weeks. So we're good for that. If we open the public hearing, I don't know if there'll be anybody present. So what we base this on is in, I think Tara sent those out to everybody yesterday. If you couldn't locate them. Was in November of last year. We did do some subdivision regs that related to supporting these checklists. So I have those. So after we approved those, what I did was I went through the checklist and tried to, well, what I did was pull the items that were contained in those amended things into the checklist. And then in the process, I got to reorganize it to try and make it a little clearer. So the things that I redid was obviously all in red. And I tried to clear up a lot of the confusion so that when the applicants have these checklists, they know exactly what we're asking them for. Because we kept running into problems with some engineers that would say, but it's not in the checklist and it's not in the subdivision regulations. Why are you asking for it? So this gives us the stronger footing to expect these items when someone submits an application to us, whether it's a minor, major subdivision or otherwise.
So may I say something now?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Stu. I just wanted to point out to the group that because we have some new members, that you did a huge amount of work on this, and I really thank you for it. But you also brought 2 former chairs of the planning board into the mix, Rosemary and myself. So we all were looking over your shoulder and at it and making comments because, as you just said, Sue, we've all had the experience of having applicants or their consulting engineer or their attorney say, you know, it's not on your checklist. Don't have to give it to you. It's not in your subdivision regs. Don't have to do that. So we put our heads together, and we think we have a much improved product. And again, it's 95% your work, Sue. So thank you so much for doing all of that.
Oh, well.
I really like it. I think Rosemary agrees with me.
I do agree, very much so.
Okay, just as a matter of oh, yeah, Travis.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Oh, well, I was just going to say, so we have these items, and then also late this afternoon, I know you don't have the hard copy, but I was going through it and I found checklists from East Greenwich and North Kingston, and had a page full of other ones that we might want to consider. I don't know how far along we'll get through these. I'm not expecting to get through all this maybe in one sitting, but I think we can get started on these.
Sue, can you hear me?
Have those as well. Who said that?
This is Peter Monas.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Jennifer.
Hello.
This is PMM. Peter Monis, which you
Oh.
sent me the
Okay.
copy of the checklist not too long ago. So I am a member of the public, I guess, and I'm here to
Right.
review this changes.
Okay, when we open the public hearing, you can make the comments then. Okay,
I just want to let you know I'm here.
okay, I was wondering who the PM, I was wondering who the PMM was.
Welcome back,
Okay.
Peter.
All right, so just as a matter of introduction again, I think we have a total of actually 14 attachments now. The 1 through 12 were basically pre-existing, so they didn't have to get renumbered. But then I think the ERS was never a numbered attachment. So that one will be number 13. And then I did an addendum to the comprehensive permit because I found that that was not representative of the kind of things that we need. So that is a new one also, that's attachment 14. It kind of incorporates what we had plus some other things that I wanted to include. And a comprehensive permit, one would always be also accompanied by like a major land development application as well, but those things are specific to comprehensive permit. So I think I did electronic.
No, I don't know. Did everyone get a chance to look at all the changes? Because you sent some things
I know
out
that
today.
So yeah, so Sue, I just wanted to let you know, it's on the legal department here. Michael and I briefly, I mean, we haven't even really been able to digest everything. We got it today, so I just wanted to make sure, just as a foundation for this conversation, that we were, certainly discussing. If you want public comment, sure, but I think voting is a little premature right now. I think legal just wants to skim through this and make sure we're putting something forward that's proper.
Right, because this also needs the solicitor to go through these as well to make sure they're okay. And I figured because I had these other ones I sent out electronically, I can read them out verbally if people can't do the electronic as well as be on this, but I wanted to introduce those as well. And then we could have a clean copy for these the next time. But I figured, going forward, as we have time, we should be tackling these to try and get these done. So I think, and how I organized these was, I felt like at the beginning we need to discuss like the size and how many of these we want. That's kind of up for discussion. And then
I was going to say the first thing is how many copies, and I think that you should probably change how many copies you're getting and sizes. But did you want to? I'm sorry to.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I just wanted to finish the introduction just so everybody kind of knows where we're going with this. So we'll start with that. And then if you've looked at it, you'll see that I broke it up into two parts because before it had kind of everything jumbled together, the proposed and the existing conditions. And then it had a lot of supplementary information, which usually then the applicants took as they could do it if they wanted and it was optional. So I got rid of that. I made everything a requirement, and if it doesn't apply, they had to explain why. And I also broke it up into, to try and simplify it, is existing conditions and then proposed conditions. So at least when we go through the plans, it'll be a little more systematic as you go through the checklist. And then the last item that I tried to be consistent through on these was some of the disclaimers at the end. I added a couple. I think one of them was there, the application being filed for the purpose of the applicant, but then the disclaimers of the board reserving the right to request independent peer review, and the application was deemed complete for purpose of commencing the time clock, blah, blah, blah. You'll see those as you go through, but I felt like it was important also to have disclaimers so that it was clear to the applicant and board members as you review these that even if they check off every item on there, it still gives the planning board the grants us the permission to ask for additional information like studies or other information if we feel that it's warranted for a specific application. So those kind of things I tried to be consistent in throughout. So with that, yeah, I guess if anybody has any questions about the basics of it, yeah, I don't know how much these were distributed a while ago, if you've looked at them or not, but we could start going through them and then hopefully make some headway. So I don't know if Jennifer, if you want to start, I guess with some of your comments.
Well, I want to explain that this is the checklist that I get from the applicant that I use to say whether the application is complete, certified complete. So the first thing are the copies of draft of the application. And I think it's really good that we do write how many copies because people are always asking me that. But I think that the standard for the large sizes are 24 by 36. I know that's really large, but I would definitely want at least one for the files and for myself to look at. And it would be, since we're talking about all the checklists, it might be better if it were consistent, the same amount through all the applications, so that when there's a clerk or something that needs to get the information, they can easily say, oh, this is how many copies we need. There's a standard amount. But we definitely should have, electronic copies. Sometimes fire needs them, sometimes DPW, but I think they're all electronic. So I would say definitely one 24 by 36. What the board needs, I would leave up to them. I think all the staff departments get it electronically otherwise.
Jennifer,
Go ahead, Stu.
Jennifer, I completely agree with your comments. I personally would like to see all members of the planning board get the same large plans. I have real trouble reading the smaller plans, and some of the plans we get, like the concept plan we got at our last meeting, was almost impossible to understand what was going on. I find it much easier to read the larger plans. So I would, and I don't think it's a big deal for developers. They have the equipment to run those things off without going to Staples, and we do, and we will probably continue to require 20 copies of everything, including plans. So I don't know how the rest of you feel about that, but I know Sue and I have talked about this, and we thought we would bring it to your attention and see how you all feel. But maybe it's just that I'm getting older, but I like to see things bigger and bigger these days.
I guess the reason that I did the 18 by 24 was because that's the size that needs to be recorded and I don't know if from an engineering point of view, if it has to do with scale, but every time if they bring us the very big plan, some people bring us very big plans, some people bring us the medium size, but the reason I was gravitating towards the 18 by 24 is because that's the size that gets recorded. So I was thinking that if we're always looking at the size that's recorded, if that's what they gear their scale to. But I don't know, maybe that doesn't pertain, maybe that doesn't work engineering wise. Actually, I don't know, Christine, maybe you would know as an architect. If
24
matters,
24 by 36 is the standard. So larger is occasionally happens, but smaller very rarely.
11 by 17 is extremely difficult. And a lot of times it's too faint. You can't make it out. Yes, you can use electronic and blow it up on your screen if you have it, but I prefer the standard size of 24 by 36.
How about if we go to 18 by 30? It's only 6 inches less.
Again, I think the
I don't know
scale,
how that-
Christine,
Yeah, it's just not a
Yeah,
standard
no.
size that comes in our program, so it would be something that everyone would have to customize.
I know. So what happens then what happens to the scale when it gets recorded at 18 by 24? Because that's the size it has to be.
Yeah, if it's not
that
a
then-
drawn scale, then it wouldn't be accurate.
I know. That's what I don't understand. From an engineering point of view, what makes the most sense? If we're looking at very large ones, and then they have to condense them for what gets recorded isn't to scale. I don't know if they can do it to scale as an 18 by 24 or not. I don't know if that doesn't work.
Why don't we ask Joe? Because I would think that the scale, really the 24 by 36 is standard. I know that you do have to do the other size, which is unusual for the Mylar. But let me ask Joe, since I can.
Okay. I mean, and the other thing is, I don't know if nobody wants the 11 by 17s. It seems like in the past, people didn't want big plans. They were bulky. I mean, basically you can't read the notes on the little ones, but, do you not want the 11 by 17s anymore? I think we were trying to save some trees when we kind of downsized them.
you're saving the
people want it.
trees. You're saving the trees, but you're not saving the eyes. You end up with a magnifying glass if you have to.
I completely
not
agree
looking
with
at them.
Rosemary.
All right, so do you want to eliminate the 11 by 17 on all of them?
Yeah,
Is
get
that
rid
kind
of that.
All right. All right. The other thing I had was the question about the number of copies, because when you're doing an administrative subdivision, you don't need 20 copies, especially if it's being reviewed by the administrative officer.
You're right. You're
Even
right.
minor subdivisions, you don't need 20 copies. That's a lot of paper. That's a lot. So my question is, major subdivisions, some of these other, like really major subdivisions, you need that, because if it goes, well, you probably don't, because DPW, fire, police, and Joe all take them electronically now. They don't even accept paper copies. So I don't know who you would be distributing 20 copies to if there's 9 of us.
Conservation.
If conservation needs one for an ERS. Solicitor, I don't know if they want them electronically, if you want paper or electronic, but I'm saying that I think 20 is an overkill, and it's a lot of paper. That we usually end up, the times that I've worked in the office, we end up throwing away a lot of paper. So I don't know. And it just seems like administrative subdivision and minor subdivisions you don't need as much as you do for major subdivisions, because you don't have the distribution to anybody other than, I mean, if anything, 12 or 15, I think is sufficient for paper copies. I mean, there's 9 of us, 1 for the file.
And then me. And then everybody else is electronic, pretty much.
What about the
Yeah,
fire?
one for the file.
What about what?
Susan, I would suggest then 12 copies for both administrative subdivisions and minor subdivisions, but 20 for major subdivisions and also Article 20 development plan review applications. The reason why I think we need 12 copies of administrative subdivision is that I would like, and I would urge all of my colleagues to take a look at all of the administrative subdivisions, even though that is something that the administrative officer can do without coming to the planning board. I still would like to have a copy of all administrative subdivisions, because some of them can be pretty controversial. And also as planners, we need to know what the hell is going on in town. So So is that an agreeable kind of a
Well, you said again
compromise?
You wanted 12 copies for administrative subdivision, minor subdivisions, and what else? Was it ERS?
Just those two would be 12 copies. The other,
I would put the ERS in that category as well.
and the ERS, that could be 12. That's environmental review statements can be 12 copies. Yep, that's a good idea. But I think that major land developments, major subdivisions, Article 20 projects, which tend to be, very high profile, I think we need 20 copies. And it would be nice to, it would be nice to have a few extra to give out to members of the general public who have a real interest.
Okay, so you said major and Article 20, the development plan review. Those you want 20? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And then,
but the other three categories. The other three categories that we mentioned: minor subdivisions, administrative subdivisions, and environmental review statements. 12 copies is sufficient, I think.
And then,
so we're saving a few trees here.
Okay. And you want anybody throwing out for paper copies of all supporting documents? Do you want it to follow that same 12 and 20 for smaller versus large projects?
And make up the set.
Okay, same as above. Okay. All right. And then we're going to check with Joe about, see if he has any comments, but it'll probably go to the 18 or the 24 by 36 size and eliminate the 11 by 17. So at least we can be consistent on that throughout. Okay. Is everybody cut it? Haven't lost anybody yet on that? We're good? All right.
Sue, I'm just gonna email something to Travis.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's in his car. Right. Okay. All right. So the next thing I did was to put it up front and center because it used to be at the end of the application. And so it was always, I wanted it up there where people could see it easily, was what the filing fee was, if they needed to submit an escrow. And also I put up there, that's priority. If they're not the property owner, they need to provide a notarized letter that they have permission to act on behalf of the applicant. So I wanted those up at the top to make sure they were very well aware of that requirement, those requirements. They couldn't read. So anyway, so it didn't get lost at the end. So that was there. Okay, so everybody good with that?
Susan, may I?
All right, so moving on.
Susan?
Still on administrative. Go ahead.
Susan, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Could I make a little
Rosemary.
Suggestion here? Having seen a lot of these applications lately where you can't tell what the person's signature, who the person is. Perhaps you could have another line and say printed, have the signature line and then print the name, because I don't know who they are.
Oh, you mean at the end?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
I think it was the last meeting we had, it looked like chicken scrawl.
Yeah, you can do that. I think that would be fine, but we do have questions when we have signatures and prints.
Anywhere it has a signature, have a print.
Yeah, all right. All right. Okay. All right. So then I took the items off of, say, the administrative subdivision list, and I just started going through it, and I tried to, you'll see as I go through them, I'm trying to be consistent about itemizing things that I want to see or that we want to see on these. Okay, so yeah, number 6, it just text, it has to be an 18 by 24 inch when it's for recording purposes. I wanted to make sure we included a class 1 survey for all the items that need to be basically administrative subdivisions, and any minor and major subdivision have to all be class 1 surveys.
So can I interrupt?
Well, I haven't opened the public hearing.
So
Part of it was,
we're going to go back
the
through
one
all this
place-
again in the public hearing?
yeah, when I do it, we can go through. Just save your comments till the end, Peter. Otherwise, just
Okay,
I'll wait.
just
and open
gonna
the public hearing.
probably just prolong the discussion, but that's all right with me.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah, and identifying at least one geo-reference point. What that was, about a year ago, Dave Robert, the tax assessor, had asked for that in order to start updating the GIS system. That's something that would just, I don't know how it's going to go on the plan, but it'll be, I don't know if it's latitude and longitudes or whatever the point is. He said from that they can map out with a class 1 survey where the boundaries are, and that's to assist with updating the GIS. And then also on this the additional checklist that I sent out today item, I realized I had left out that I wanted to put in here probably somewhere at the beginning was to do a plan legend depicting or explaining all symbols. I don't think I hadn't had that on these sheets before, and I realized that that's something when I saw it on another sheet that's something we need to have. Engineers that don't put legends for us, so we don't know what all their little lines and squiggles mean. So I had that we would add that to attachments 1 through 10 and 13.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah,
that's really aggravating
I know.
to not have a legend.
Yeah, so otherwise we have to ask at the meeting, what does this line mean? What does that line mean? So it's just for clarification.
Yeah.
It's hard to
we've
believe
been
we
wasting
have to
time at
ask
meetings
that.
doing that for years.
Right. Yeah, I mean, some of the engineers are very consistent about supplying it and other engineers aren't. So it's like you put it on the plan and they check it off, then we know, they have it. If not, then they need to have it. And then the other thing we added that we've been doing for the last 6 months or year or so, which we really, I think is helpful to the planning board, is getting a determination letter from the building official indicating if any zoning relief is required, so that we're not getting to the review process, either a preliminary plan for minor or an administrative subdivision even, or a major development. And then we're trying to figure out if they need any zoning, if the engineer doesn't propose or the applicant doesn't propose any. This way we have it as part of our initial packet, as part of our review. So we've been kind of doing that, but I wanted to incorporate that into it. And on number 11,
Yes,
it's just
yes.
clarification.
So that becomes
Number
standard
11.
operating procedure.
Right.
I'm sorry,
So-
Susan, go ahead.
And then that's all right. And then I just deleted a few of the items that seemed redundant. Number 18, it seemed like the subject parcel location dimensions of existing property lines, it seemed like that was just redundant on something that was already there. And when we get to number 19, existing contours, it seems like we never require, and they usually don't put for administrative subdivisions, that's just merging 2 lots or redistributing lot lines. It seems like it's not a requirement that applies to administrative subdivisions to do contour lines, so I erased that. And then I took out the supplementary information. I think Stu suggested that. And then I added the disclaimers at the end, because I just want to make sure that the applicants understand that just because even if they check everything on the box, in the boxes, there could be additional information we could request if it's determined. And then, a land surveyor or engineer. And then Rosemary wanted to have additional line for where they can print their name so we can distinguish who they are. And a lot of times it's a scribble. So that's the initial administrative subdivision. I don't know if anybody has any other questions or comments on that one.
I think that you should put in, for the class 1 survey, you should say that it needs to be stamped by a registered land surveyor, probably.
Oh, okay, yeah, it doesn't say
Yeah,
that.
that's, yeah, you took it out in one place, but then you didn't
Yes,
put it in number 7, I would say.
stamped and signed.
Stamped and signed, you're right.
They usually sign over the seal.
By a stamped and signed by what, a professional surveyor?
Land surveyor or engineer.
No, an engineer can't stamp a survey.
A surveyor.
Surveyor has to sign.
That's right. They usually hire.
Right.
I mean, an engineer can also have a surveyor license, but
Yeah, not too many do, but yeah. But they different seals.
okay, I'll make sure that wording gets added in. Okay, that's good, thanks. Is there anything else?
Do you think the geo reference point is necessary? I think maybe I was emailing.
Yeah, I think you were in there. Yeah, I said it about a year ago. Dave Robert, the tax assessor, was asking for that because that if one of those is included on a plan, then we can start updating the GIS system. He said he could take all the other boundaries off that one point. You know, because then if you have a class 1 survey, you'll have the distances, because you probably realize by going to GIS, it's a general reference. It's not totally accurate for lot line. So that's great. That was what was for. I think one time I remembered to ask an applicant to do that, but otherwise I forget. So I put it on the checklist, and hopefully the engineers will get accustomed to doing that. I think that's something that will help us to update. So, all right. So going on to attachment 2 is the concept plan. So again, I think we can make the changes for the sizes and number at the top. And then I think the fee, the escrow, or the notarized letter, that's all the same. I'm going to see going through it. Most of the basic items are the same. I added an explanatory note summarizing the purpose of the plan. Did I have one administrator subdivision? The purpose. Oh yeah, I did.
The purpose, yeah.
Purpose. So I did add explanatory note summarizing the purpose for the concept plan also. I wanted to add the legend comment in there as well. Include the name, the address, and the plat and lot are identified of abutting property owners, not just the name. I want to make sure they label that. Zoning districts, including the stone walls. I mean, this is a lot of things for the concept plan, but I think you can see already a difference between the concept plan that was submitted to us tonight, had a lot more information than the one we submitted 2 weeks ago. So I just think we needed to standardize what we're asking them for. It's not, they just submit what they want to submit. Because we need enough information to be able to tell what their project is. If we don't have that, then we're kind of, shooting in the dark. So then, I eliminated the supplementary information and made these also required. So either a photo rendering or architectural drawing of the proposed development. I think, sometimes the applicants submit it and sometimes they don't. I think that's reasonable so we can see more clearly what they're proposing.
I want to say that since you're taking it out as supplementary and requiring it, I was wondering, I think that those renderings can cost quite a bit of money. Is that true, Christine, or can
they're about, well, I mean, I could do it as the architect, but my time's probably more expensive than going to a renderer, which we usually pay about $500 a rendering.
All right. I mean, you want to change it to if applicable, but I think, you know, when usually people come to us for concept plans, it's for big projects like we saw tonight. It's either for commercial development or like a major residential subdivision. It's not for small things. And I think when we did the solar projects, we asked for it later. But I think we want to see pretty quickly what it is we're in for, unless you think maybe that is overkill at this point. Is up for discussion.
Can I interrupt one more time? Because this might save you some trouble.
Let's just get through this, then I'll open the public hearing, Peter.
Because my point is that you're talking to having a general discussion about the planning board panel, and that's not on the agenda. The agenda is a public hearing on these changes. So the first one is probably not legal discussion because it's not on the agenda.
Well, Peter, we haven't voted on anything.
I know you have to vote on it. You don't have to vote on anything. You're having a discussion.
I know.
Mr. Travis should answer.
We're having a discussion. We're going to have a public hearing. We haven't gotten to that point yet, sir. So we just let them get through their initial, then you'll have the ability to.
Because this is not on the agenda.
It is. It says public hearing and possible vote.
Yes, a public hearing is on the agenda, but a discussion by the planning board is not on the agenda of the pending changes.
Well, I think
Secretary of State, right?
The agenda gives you the ability to.
Yeah, we're here to review this, and we have to discuss it.
I'm here
And
to.
then we will-
I'm here to review it too, but you got to do it legally.
You will have the ability to review it, sir. Okay, can we just get through this so that you'll have the floor, sir?
Right.
Susan, go ahead.
Right. Okay, thank you. Let's see. So yeah, I was going to add the legend back into this, and then when I got to down to item. Let's see what I have. Item number 2. Oh, that was one of the items I added today. I mean, if we want to change that, it was renderings, elevations, photos, or scale models as may be needed to illustrate the visual impact of the proposal, if applicable. I came across that in one of the other checklists. I thought was more explanatory. If you think that's too much for the concept plan, we can take it out here and just add it into like either master plan or preliminary plan of the major land developments and commercial developments. I did like the
Susan.
Susan,
I like the idea of having that language in the concept informal concept review, because as you said, most of the projects that go through that informal concept review are big, major, significant projects that are really have high profile in the town. And I think it would be really nice to encourage developers to give us that information up front so everybody sees it. And it's not, slipped in at master plan level. And of course, architectural renderings will change as the footprints of buildings change and so on and so forth. So it's not something that is locked in cement, but I think it would be very useful. I don't know how my colleagues feel about it, but I would love to see some idea of what kind of a rendering we'll get with a right up front at the concept plan review stage. That's all I had to say. So I'm agreeing with you, Susan.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's a way to do it to put some discretionary power into this.
If available.
Because minor subdivisions, it wouldn't really be that pertinent. So I wonder if we use the language that it would be for a proposed, like either a major land development or commercial development, rather than just you know, so that if a minor subdivision did come in for a concept plan, because every once in a while they do that, then that probably is an excessive requirement for a minor subdivision.
I agree with that, Susan.
Okay. I know I'm trying to think of, I mean, did you like, I like this additional language that renderings, elevations, photos, or scale models is maybe needed to illustrate the visual impact of the proposal, if applicable. That kind of expanded that. I don't know if you guys like that better. You want to just keep it the simple one. And then we could add for major land developments or commercial projects, something to that effect.
That sounds reasonable.
Were you saying okay, Peter?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think that I was trying to figure out a way to make it somewhat discretionary, you know, for major land developments or commercial projects. So that would eliminate everything. Okay. All right. I can adjust that language. And if you guys like this language, then I think I had it for attachment 2, 4, 7, and 9. You'll see that when it follows through. Okay, so existing and proposed utilities, not rather than just saying the availability of utilities. I don't know, there was a couple of things that just seemed not necessary. And then I added the caveat back in, and then the line for the printing of the names at the end. And does anybody see any other comments or questions they have? Oh, shoot.
There would be 2 lines, right, Susan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I just looked at my proposed checklist items again that I sent out today. So I don't know if you think it's pertinent. I had for attachments 1 through 10, and to add a line for FEMA floodplain notation on the plan if applicable, wellhead protection area notation on the plan if applicable, groundwater recharge area notation on the plan if applicable, and for items 2 through 10, description of pedestrian facilities, sidewalks, footpaths, trails, and noted on the plan if applicable. I mean, you can take
all great ideas.
Yes, that's really good.
I mean, if you think those are, I mean, I can add those in, and when we go to the vote, we can pull those off, but those came out on the checklist that I sent out, the additional ones today. You know, ones that I came across, and you know, most of these probably often would apply, but at least then we're covering our bases so that they're addressed and noted on the plan if needed.
Yep.
And I think that sidewalks, footpaths, and trails would be noted on the plan. So if you're all right with that, we can add those. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I'm putting everybody to sleep. You're all quiet. So I don't know. Are there any other questions or comments for attachment 2? I think we've gotten the items to go through there. All right. I'm losing my piles here. All right. Okay. So attachment 3. Oh, this one's easier. This is for site analysis. I think it's major subdivisions, right, that require a site analysis. That's on the checklist, and this is the attachment that it refers to. We haven't really been consistent on doing this, so I think if we get this one out, that we know that anything that comes to us for a major land development, major subdivision, this is kind of expands some of the specifics that they need to do for site analysis. I can change the, well, let's see, I don't know if the plans even, there's no fee attached to it, so that's just part of the major land development, but I don't know, would there,
I feel like it's strange to put it as attachment number 3, shouldn't it?
well,
I mean, maybe I'm getting.
I know, well, that's what it's been listed as. I mean, do you want to renumber it? I know, because
I know, maybe you don't, but it just
well,
feels
if we do
weird.
that, we have to change it to the subdivision regs reference.
Yeah,
as
you have
well.
to go into the
So-
subs.
So maybe we should just leave it. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
that's
con-
actually what it is.
oh,
It's an
it's
addendum.
referred.
It's really, yeah, it's an addendum, isn't it, to the major land development. So
I'll deal with it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Actually, do we need sets of plans? Because would that be incorporated as part of?
It would, that's how I see it. It's additional checklist items that are, so it wouldn't be additional plans. It would be part of the.
So you don't need
major.
plans, but you need paper copies, wouldn't you?
You mean like a separate?
Well, to answer these questions, I mean, are these all going to be incorporated into the?
I would think that they would be all incorporated in the plans that you got. Like I would go through the checklist and make sure it's all on the plan. I would think these would be in there.
Okay. So they don't need additional supporting documents.
Like a separate.
So what should be? I mean, should we have something that says that?
Yes,
these are
that they're.
included, that somehow they're incorporated or should be included
In where they're noted. Let me.
I'm trying to think of the wording. I mean, what you want these items should be included in the.
It's in the subdivision. Oh, you changed it to include. Okay.
Well, see, it says it's required for all major land developments and subdivisions at master plan stage of review. So should we say that it's the items are included? Well, they should be all present there. It also says the scope and content should be discussed during a pre-application meeting. And it says required at the planning board's discretion for minor subdivision.
You're adding that. You're adding that.
Yeah, I think, did I pull that from the subdivision regs? I mean, that's where I think I pulled that out from subdivision regs or somewhere that said that's when a site analysis is required. Yeah, I think that's from the subdivision regs.
But in the in the subdivision regulations, do we reference attachment 3 anywhere?
Yes, I believe it is.
We do. So be careful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
If we.
I was just looking at pre-application for this Souza condos apartments, and I don't remember seeing a site analysis required for that, but I could look at it.
Section 23-13 does reference it by name. 23-13.
Oh.
D.
Right. Oh, it says attachment 2. Oh yeah, and concept plans must be at the same scale as site analysis map detailed in attachment 3. It's a major land developments.
I would leave it as 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll be too much.
Yeah, you might have it somewhere else too.
Right.
I don't remember where I got that. I know I read that. This kind of stuff I don't just make up. So let me see if I can find it. But it referenced it that you need it for major subdivisions, minor subdivisions determined in the application.
Oh, yes, I do see the detailed in attachment 3. Yep.
Oh,
These comment plan in D. I see where you're saying.
no, it's under Article 10, site analysis. It's Article 10, 2353, site analysis. The information in attachment 3's regulations for all major land developments and subdivisions. During the pre-application meeting and presented by the developer during the master plan stage of review. So that's where I pulled it from. It's Article 10 development requirements and public improvement standards. And it's number 1 is site analysis and contents of site analysis. So that's where it comes from.
Okay.
So those are the requirements. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way. I mean, I guess you could just have that at the beginning. That's required for all major land development, so that they know. Then they just have to include that as part of the plan, right?
Right.
Yes.
Just cross-reference.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'll eliminate the sizes of it and the electronic plans, and then it'll just show that that's when it's required. So how I did, I guess, what I built this out as, the black is what was currently on the sheet, and then I went through the site analysis, this Article 10, and I supplemented it with the information. Oh, sorry, I'm almost off screen. And I supplemented it with the information that was in that Article 10. So that it's in the watershed, that it's floodways and floodplains, existing contours. I mean, a lot of this will then overlap automatically what they put in a major land development master plan, but it also has including like prime agricultural under hybrid soils, identify existing road networks, greenways and trails, habitats. Yeah, that's what I did, was I built it out from that article. Just so that you're not relying on an applicant to go find that article to know that that's what they have to do. If they have a checklist and these are the things that are required, then it makes it very clear to them that this is what they need to do. So is everybody still with me there on that?
Yes.
How many people have I lost? Oh, there. So let's see, do I have any others? So yeah, and I'll add. I don't think I have. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else. Well, I had the FEMA floodplain, the wellhead, the groundwater recharge, and the pedestrian facility. So if those need to be added into this checklist, I'll add those also. I can incorporate those. So if everybody's okay with how that's set up, we can move on.
I am.
So,
Me too.
Okay. Jennifer?
I think for number 15, it says phase 1 and phase 2. I believe at phase 3 is it's like the whole remediation plan.
Exactly. Phase 3 is remediation plan.
Oh,
right. Do you think that don't you think that people would do 1 and 2 and then go for for the development, and then, I mean, I'm kind of like, you could require them to do 3. I just.
Where are you? Sorry, I lost track.
Yeah, it's number 15 on site analysis, and I'm just thinking, if you, in the beginning, if you haven't even given them, any sort of approval, I'm not sure they're going to do phase 3, because I mean, you have to understand, from my point of view, I'm going to go through this checklist, and if they don't give me something, I'm going to say it's not in the checklist, I can't submit it. So but I can find out a little bit more if I just wanted to bring that up.
They'll probably put an NA next to it.
If not, okay.
I'm trying to remember if this came out of did this come out of the subdivision rate? Is that in there?
And it says phase 3, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just identify the presence.
Identify is phase 1 and phase 2. Like phase 1 is like they do research to see if there was contamination, and phase 2 is to see if there is contamination on the site. And then 3
It's actually
is,
to go out to the site and to take tests.
yeah.
That's phase 2.
They're just
Yes.
identifying it.
Yeah, that's phase 2. Right.
Okay, Jennifer, could you?
Okay, we're getting yeah.
'Cause I'm not following it right at the moment.
You're
so-
not following. That's okay. I'll find out
I'm
more.
trying to correct it. Yeah, if
We're getting too much in the here.
no, it's like if we do this, I mean, this was like from 2008 or 9 until we're last done, I think. So, it's these were last done in 2006. So we want these to be good for a while.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, if you can correct the wording and just let me know what it is, I can add it into there. So, all right, so we'll eliminate the sizes for plans and then rework the wording in 15 and add the print of the signature line. Is that, and then everything else as is. Are we good with that? So, and then I would add in the FEMA wellhead protection, add those.
That's good.
All right, I'll add those in. If they're not already, if they're not redundant, I'll add those in. Okay. All right. So then we'll move on. Number 4. I don't know what happened. My stuff is just. All right, so number 4, now we're getting to minor subdivision. So we'll change the sizes and the numbers to, again, be the 12 and 20 and the sizes. So we'll change those. And I don't know, yeah, then, all right, so this is the one where I started breaking up existing conditions. So, that's usually like one of the first page that's presented when they submit their plans. It shows existing conditions before they do any building. So that's easier. Then you could just look at that page and start going through all that. That's usually the cover page and then the existing conditions. One comment we found was if it's not the owner of the property or if there's a question, to submit a copy or deed, a title to the subject property, because it seems like we've been having lately people doing work on properties that's not theirs.
Wow. Okay.
So I just thought maybe we should clarify who actually owns the property. Sometimes it gets a little muddy. And then, yeah, appropriate references to deeds and recorded plats should be noted on the plans. Some of the engineers do it and some don't. The class 1 survey again, and I combined it with the geo reference points. I'll make sure.
Stamped.
Make sure. Oh yeah, stamped.
Just add.
Stamped and signed. And then I'll make sure I add a space for the legend again. I'll add the legend shows up on that. The soils map. And then, so then page 3 goes to the proposed items. Again, it started with an explanatory note summarizing the purpose. We want footprints and dimension areas. Sometimes they just draw rectangles and they don't provide us with sizing. Again, the determination letter from the building official. And I can add these other items on the other ones. The FEMA wellhead protection area stuff again, that applies. This one have, does this one have a photo rendering? I don't remember.
Does it?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. No, see, this one doesn't have that, so
Okay.
it's not on there. All right, and then any public or private improvements, road or stormwater sureties. Because what we try and do is get the applicants so that they submit this with preliminary plans, so we have all the legal documents we need. So when they come back for final, they're they're ready to go. We don't have to review this stuff at final, we just approve it. I mean, basically, we're trying to shorten the whole final plan process. And then I have the disclaimers, the information things. We'll add the print lines at the bottom. I have the site analysis attachment 3 if required. Oh yeah, the other language, I kind of liked it better, was headed to attachments 1, number 18, edit. Oh, attachment 1 now. This other wording, it said draft copies of all legal documents, legal description of property, proposed easements and rights of way, dedications, restrictions, or other required legal documents, including homeowners associations, if applicable, warranty deed conveying open space, and offer of street dedication. I listed some attachments to include that in. I think we have I kind of like the wording of that rather than what we have standardized.
I lost where you are, Sue. I'm sorry.
Oh, actually, I go to 49. So that's where we have the language for proposed deed restrictions, protecting covenants, and then I had them listed. Then I came across this language for drafting copies of all legal documents, property easements, and rights of way. And I just kind of like the wording. I think we could, now that you have this checklist, but it's kind of hard to do without a paper copy in front of you. Apologize. I could insert that. We could look at both of them next time and decide which way you want to go with it. I just kind of like, I thought it was a little cleaner, and rather than just listing all of them, unless you want to include the individuals, whether it's maintenance, utility, stormwater. You can do it however.
When I go through it, I look through each one. I mean, when I check them,
right.
Even if it's not listed down. I don't know.
I know it might be a hybrid of these two, the wording of both of these. So we can take a look at it. Jennifer, you and I can take a look at it. See, maybe we could come up with something that kind of hybrids those two. And so this is for a minor subdivision, which is 5 lots, basically 5 house lots or less. So it's 2, 3, 4, or 5 lots. So these are the things that we would apply. So yeah, some of these items are if applicable, like phasing. Phasing probably wouldn't apply, but if it does, if surety is required, if it's applicable. I tried to carry through some of the items that I had on the other plans as well. Does anybody have any other comments on any of these? Okay, all right, so we'll work on the wording for that and add those other items that we discussed. Okay, number 5. Okay, this is the final plan for the minor subdivision. It's attachment 5. Again, we'll change all the sizes and number. You start to see a pattern here.
Yes.
Everything's changed. So go through again, we'll add the legend. Those other items. Class 1 survey will be stamped and signed. That one. And then we have the proposed items again. Oh, and so if zoning relief is required, when they come back for final plan, that's when they would have to have that completed. So that's on there as number 29, a written decision of the zoning board if relief is required. And by final plan is when they would need their septic permits, any other permits that require any other legal documents. All the final stuff, any final drainage plans, landscaping plans, they need the tax certificate. I don't know about number 49. It's two sign. This was existing. I didn't change it. 2 signed copies of an irrevocable offer to convey to the town all public streets and other public improvements accompanied by a meet and bounds description. I don't know why it's 2 signed copies. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if the Travis or Jennifer have comments on that. I included it because I didn't know what to do with it.
What number was that, Sue? 2 signed copies?
Number 49 on page 4.
Oh, yeah. Why does it?
I know, I don't know. That's been there, so I didn't. Yeah, and I did eliminate when I got to final plan, the planning board reserves the right to request independent peer reviews, blah, blah, blah. The cost of any additional because it shouldn't apply to final plan. So I took
The final plan, yeah.
off, so you just have the 2. I don't know if anybody wants to wait. Yeah, Jennifer and Travis want to weigh in for the next go around about item number 49. I don't know, Stu or Rosemary, historically, do you have any information on either one of those or beyond that, what the premise was behind it?
I believe one goes back to the applicant. Once it's executed by both parties, I think one goes back to the applicant. I don't recall.
I don't recall either why 2 were required.
Well, I don't know if we ever got them, quite frankly. But I think, again, one goes back to the applicant once the town signs it. They're both signed by the town and one goes back to the applicant.
You're probably right on target. And it's important that both the town and the applicant have the same document.
Absolutely. One goes into the land evidence book. I'm sure.
That's what I was wondering. It doesn't say that it needs to be recorded, does it? But it should be recorded. If it's accompanied by meets and bounds description, conveying to the town all public streets and other public improvements, wouldn't you want that recorded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, recorded in land evidence. Okay, so if the 2 copies are okay, then.
Yep.
All right, we'll keep the 2 copies, but we'll add that it's recorded in land evidence. Anybody have any other comments? Okay. I had a question though, for consistency. I don't know, maybe Joe will weigh in on this. I mean, sometimes we have for septic systems, sometimes it's listed as ISDS, which I think is the newest nomenclature, and other times it's listed as OWTS, on-site wastewater treatment system, versus individual.
I've seen
the terminology that DEM uses is OWTS.
It was changed.
for the private residential wastewater systems. It's OWTS. That's the state of the art.
You're right, Stu.
So OWTS is newer terminology?
Yes. OWTS is the correct new technology that came in about 5-7 years ago. And since it's the terminology that DEM uses, we need to be consistent with that.
All right, I'll go through and make sure. I'm not sure because I know I keep coming across.
Yeah.
I think they're one and the same, right? But sometimes you see ISDS and sometimes you see OWTS.
Exactly. They're one in the same, but we should use the modern technology, modern terminology.
Okay. All right. I'll try to go through and make sure all those are consistently changed. And then, if I add, what do I have? The legend. And I have number. Oh, number 48. Just about done with this. I'm just looking at my list again. Yeah, 48. I don't know if we want to amend that language just so we're consistent. Whatever we come up with for signed documents. All right. So anybody else have any other comments on any of these items? Or that's, so this is the final plan or a minor subdivision? Okay. Okay. Next is number 6. Master plan for a major subdivision. A land development project. All right, so I'll change the number and size of those. I'll add the legend. I think people are starting to see a pattern. Well, the class 1 will be stamped and signed. That's number 12. I'll add the FEMA, the wellhead, the groundwater, description of pedestrian facilities. Can add those again in there. I had a question. Is when it has base flood elevation data and it has FEMA floodplain notation, I mean, is there a distinguishable difference? Because FEMA, I don't know if that applies into things. I don't know. Oh, Stu, do you know? I don't really know. Base flood is like X whatever, but I don't know if the FEMA thing, if that's something we need that's different.
Don't know.
I wonder if actually Joe would probably know, wouldn't he?
Yeah, we can ask him.
Yeah, because I mean, that's on all of them, the base flood elevation data, but then we have this FEMA floodplain on all of it. So I don't know if those are, it seems like they're probably
different. No, it is different.
It is
different because
FEMA is coastal.
Right, right.
FEMA says what areas flood, and the baseline is how high you'd have to be
all right
from the sea level.
All right, so maybe I can put the base flood elevation and then put the FEMA one behind and below it, and can follow that consistently through. So it's addressed there. Oh, and then I had, identify the presence of contaminants sufficient to necessitate a phase 1, 2, or 3 environmental site assessment. It's number 24. Or is that covered? Because this one, they would be required to do the site, the attachment 3, right? Because this is a major.
Yes.
So is that saying the same thing that the site analysis said?
It does, but I think you can repeat your.
You want to leave it there? Okay. Okay. So again, determination letter, if any zoning is required. And a note on the plan if a waiver is to be requested. Sometimes, like waivers that the planning board can supply is different than zoning relief. We want them to do that up front at the master plan stage. Yep.
Write it on the plan?
Well, I think
like
they've done it. Well, I don't know if they wanted to do it in the narrative or would they just do it.
Yeah,
well, sometimes they do it on notes, general notes. I don't know if you put it under general notes on the plan, a waiver for such and such as.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've.
Do you want it? Well, how would you like? If you don't want it on the plan, where do you want it?
Narrative.
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 I think it's just, the master plan, we want to know if they're looking for, if they need zoning relief or they're looking for a waiver, we want to know at the master plan stage so it can be considered. Okay. So rather than a note on the plan, it'll be narrative.
feel like I'm getting very picky, but
No, I think I think a lot of times, it's just making it clear. So then when the applicant has this, it's like, well, this is what you need to do.
yeah.
And I think the clearer we are, probably it'll help you in the long run when you go through site plans, looking at these and the planning board. I don't remember, Stu, if this is one you wanted in there, a written summary to identify measures to minimize impacts to the natural topography of the site. See the low impact development site planning and design guidance manual. I think that one's helpful.
That was my suggestion. Yes, it's in the comprehensive community plan.
Yeah. So again, I eliminated the supplementary information and just kept going. Number 49 again is that proposed design concept or photo rendering. You want me to use that other language, renderings, elevations, photos, to illustrate the visual impact? I'll add that in there. We can decide how we want to go with that. And then the disclaimers with printing signatures. And then these were existing before, like if you have a major project, it gets distributed, not necessarily to all these different municipal departments, but was to list them so that the applicant or the administrative officer can check off to make sure they get all these. So I added in the zoning official and the wastewater district, because it was, I think before it was, I don't know if it was on there. But things like for school department, so say this concept plan that came before us tonight, we would want to make sure that this application went for the school department when it's a large residential that could impact schools. That's what all that's there for.
Yes.
Yeah, so it includes all that. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about. Oh, and then on the back was state agencies for DEM, CRMC, DOT, or other.
So the local agencies, that's almost more for for office use almost.
Right.
Wouldn't you say? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to say municipal or town?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to reword it?
Like municipal use. Well, that sounds.
Municipal departments or interdepartmental?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Which?
You also have adjacent communities if in many cases.
Yes.
Well, is that on, I guess that's probably an other maybe?
Maybe under other, like if it's Westport, Fall River,
right.
Something like that.
I just don't want the applicant to think that they're going to send it on to.
They have to do it.
So you want local agencies called municipal departments? I mean, because you look at it, if you do like a technical review committee, these would be the people that you write, the ones that you check off, those are the people that you're going to include in your TRC most likely. Right? Those are the people you're going to want to involve in it. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so it's master plan. Preliminary plan is attached with 7. Again, I'll change the top, change size and number. I'll add the legend. Stanford sign. Add FEMA. A lot of these are just being consistent. See there. So at preliminary plan stage is when all the engineering details, all the landscaping, if there's lighting. So master plan is the concept. When we get to preliminary plan, that's basically when they have to have the project. They have to show us the project. They have to show us the roads, how the roads are built, how the they don't have to show us what the house design is going to look like. Like if it's a major subdivision, we don't ask for design, architectural designs of like, say if it's 10 houses, we still just do building footprints. We don't have, that's under our purview to weigh into designing houses. But basically cover. So I have proposed, I guess I added all these. But on this one, I did number 28, any waivers that were granted, we note those on the plan. I think if that along with
at
zoning,
that stage.
yeah, I think that should be included. So it's there. That way too, when these plans get recorded and go like to the building office for construction, they should see that to know that they've been granted a waiver. And that also includes the zoning. That'll be noted on the plan. I think we added that in there. I think that was Stu, that was probably you, the hydraulic model report with that shows adequate volume and pressure with
Yes.
confirmation of an independent peer review if required. So that's at that point for a major development, if we want to request a hydraulic model report, where we have that under, and the applicant pays for that. And that's part of the disclaimer at the end. So basically, when you go through all this, this is them providing all the information that we need in order to basically approve the plan for construction.
Susan?
Yep.
On 31, you're putting that in the jurisdiction of the Tiverton Fire Marshal as opposed to
Water service connection. No, I don't know. Should it be the fire chief or just say the fire department?
Well,
safer to put fire department.
we need
It's like every
something.
time we have any issue, we always go through the fire marshal, but
Yeah, but I'm wondering, should we have a directive from the water authority as well?
Yes, we already have that. If you go to 30 requires the hydraulic model from the two districts.
From the
applicable authority.
So 30 checklist item 30
yeah.
is requiring a report, not their opinion, but an actual hydraulic model showing that they can actually deliver the water.
Okay.
31 then goes on to the fire department because they test the hydrants to make sure that the hydrant pressure and volume is sufficient, or if there aren't any hydrants in the area, they would they would be concerned about the cisterns. But to go back to Susan's question, it probably shouldn't be the fire marshal. We should simply say the Tiverton Fire Department.
Yeah.
And let the fire department determine whether it's the fire marshal or the fire chief.
Yeah.
I know when Chief Lloyd was in power, he kind of overrode the fire marshal. Remember that? And he kind of wanted to make all the decisions himself. So just politically, I think it would be better to simply say the Tiverton Fire Department.
Yeah.
And then they can decide who.
So the chief can't say that he doesn't know.
Yep.
All right. I think that's good. Thanks. Yeah. So it's at this stage that we need like DEM permits. We need CRMC permits, anything DOT permits. I mean, we can delay those, I suppose. I mean, we want to know that.
Yeah, we can grant a waiver. We can grant them more time. We have the authority to do that, but it's important to put it on the checklist so that they know that if they don't have it, they're going to have to give us a damn good reason why.
And it's available.
Oh, and I had in there number 55 was proposed design concept or photo rendering if amended. I think if, I don't know, should that be back on the preliminary plan or can they still change it at the final plan stage? Can we ask for any are we gonna ask for a design concept or photo rendering? Like the
I guess
final
it's
plan?
different if you're doing a major subdivision versus a land development.
You're saying that if we did that at the final plan stage, that's okay? I'm just looking at that now, going, I don't know. If that needs to be there or not.
Amended. Well, yeah, if amended.
I think it should still be there.
I just wonder if you're going to have a photo rendering or design concept if it's just a major subdivision. You know,
Right.
it's different. Like the major land development we had today is something you'd want the photo rendering, but what would you be rendering if it was like a 10-lot subdivision, major subdivision?
Wasn't that what we were doing? The renderings, elevations, photos, or scale models need to illustrate the visual impact if applicable. Wasn't that what, where did we change that wording to say for major? For major,
Well, I think we were all thinking development.
Developments or commercial, major or commercial
Yes.
developments, but that doesn't really.
Yeah, subdivision
That
doesn't.
could have eliminated subdivisions, right? If we call it a major land development.
Yes.
That
Yeah, we
eliminates.
could write that in, yeah.
So that eliminates major subdivisions, right?
Yeah. I don't think you need it for major subdivisions.
No, no. So I don't know, should have.
Oh, I see what you mean. So if it's amended, if it's not, if they didn't even supply it to you because it wasn't.
Well, it's probably, I don't know if I had it in the preliminary plan, master plan. Because we talked about that earlier, that it's the photo renderings of major land developments and commercial developments.
I believe you're right.
Oh, yeah, I did. It's number
just getting-
40.
I'm
It's
just getting
49.
tired.
Yeah, in preliminary plan, it's number 49.
Okay.
We changed that. And then I guess I added it if it's amended, but I don't know, would we allow it to be amended at the final plan stage? I don't know. Do we have to have it final?
If you agree to what, well, that's true.
Do we want them to do?
Yeah.
Do we want to allow them to do amending it at a final? I mean, I can just eliminate it.
Maybe, yeah.
Just eliminate that number?
Yeah, yeah, if you're gonna require it at the master plan.
Well, a preliminary plan, yeah. All right.
But shouldn't the design for a major commercial building, for example, shouldn't that be recorded, put in the final plan and recorded, so that we have legal authority to hold their feet to the fire? For example, supposing they give us a really attractive design, but then end up building a corrugated metal warehouse on Main Road. So whatever does.
Did that happen?
So the design.
I don't think we've ever recorded.
Oh, it happens. It happens all the time.
Architectural designs or photo renderings, we don't record those.
You don't normally, but
They're not recorded.
No, they're not recorded because that's land. That's not land use. That's design, and that's probably falls under the building official, doesn't it?
Right.
I mean, we can do height,
Well,
and we can do lot coverage, and they can propose that to us.
But we do have design standards in the comp plan, and we do have design standards referenced in zoning under Article 20, for example.
But maybe we should put it there then.
So let's think. Yeah. Let's at least think about about.
Well, should we have like proposed design?
Making sure that we'll.
So we have something like says proposed design meets design standards or something, meets all design standards. I mean, would that work? I mean, that way they have to supply it and we know that they've met the requirements. But yeah, I don't think it's 100% binding unless you include something in the decision about it. I mean, that you say.
Well, we could perhaps include something in the decision, actually, maybe as a supplement to the decision, so that there is a legally actionable bit of evidence. So it's not bait and switch.
You can bond it where the money is.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know, Travis.
I don't
think about it.
I think we can deal with that issue without dealing with it in the checklist. So, and I'll think about it. And
right.
Well, I don't know, Travis. If Travis has any language that maybe we could put in there that would.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm sure a town like East Greenwich or Barrington would have some procedure, to make sure that they get what they're promised.
But I know, but
in terms of a design.
But don't we want it as part of the checklist so they submit it to us at final plan? I mean, it seems like we need some kind of language in there, don't we? Because if we leave it to them, they won't supply anything.
So, yeah.
Exactly. They'll give us as little information as they possibly can get away with. So, yeah, it should be on the checklist.
Well, major land developments in commercial, again, it would apply to, right? Not
exactly. Not housing subdivision, of course, but anything of a major commercial scale.
Well, the one that it does apply to, just to throw this in there, is comprehensive permits, because they have to submit design.
Yes.
But we don't. Yes. But we don't record those part of the plans. All right. I think we need to work on some wording for that. I don't know if Travis, if you have any ideas, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Peter, anybody? Christine, there's some language that I think might work. That, like, you just have to remember, it's not something that we record that's recorded in land evidence, but it's something that we can make as part of the decision.
Did Travis leave us?
I think
Oh, he was just here. Maybe his phone died.
Yeah, he was.
Maybe his phone in his car died. I don't know. He was just here.
So, Susan.
Curious.
Huh? He said.
Susan, I'm going to suggest that we're probably ready to go to the public hearing now. I'm getting so tired I can't think straight. And we've made a lot of progress tonight. We've gotten through half of the attachments.
Well, can we just do the final plan? So we don't lose our train of thought. If we do the final plan for master plan, then that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that, and then let's go to the.
Okay, so attachment 8 again.
Travis is gonna call it. He just got kicked off. He'll be back.
Oh, okay, so change the site size and number. So we'll change that. We'll add the legend again. We'll do all the things we did on the other one. Other items, stamped and signed survey. Written confirmation and or permits from all federal, state, and local agencies. Written confirmation from DPW or designee. Tree extensions. I mean, basically, this is just all the final stuff. Establishing an escrow for streetlight acquisition, drainage, grading, landscaping. If you want to change the wording on 45. Construction schedule. They're supposed to provide that. The phase project. And then printing names. Anybody has any other? Add the FEMA stuff and all that again.
I think I think this is Travis.
Guys, sorry, I don't know what the heck just happened.
We hear you.
So I think if anybody has anything they come up with between now and the next time, we'll have the couple of the language changes and all that, and we'll go through it again and give everybody time to look through them again. And
That would be great.
what I'll do is anything that's changed from this version is I'll do in blue, so you know that these are the edits that come from tonight, so you can, I figure how you can track them. We'll have a very colorful.
That will be very easy. Yep.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
have to go through it and do it that way. And okay. All right. So 1 through 8. All right. I'll open the public hearing for comments on attachments 1 through 8 of our subdivision regulation checklists.
Is Peter Moniz still with us?
Yes, so I'm here.
Yep.
Enjoying myself.
You have the floor.
Okay. So basically, yeah, your agenda item is basically a workshop item right now, but that might be a legal question, but I don't mind that. You guys clubbing around. You're not really prepared for a public hearing because you're doing a lot of revisions. You should have had a public workshop for your committee to go over these changes. And then that way you could have a real good discussion, make your modifications, and then come back to the public hearing again. Because now you made changes, you have to post those changes to the public again, the first 1 through 8. And you have to post that because you didn't open the public hearing.
Peter, do you have comments specific to the
I just did.
checklist rather than process? We had
I want this to be in the record, please.
We had a work group. Rosemary,
had-
you and I were
So-
designated as a work group.
I know you had a work group with Stu, you, and
that's how we designated it, to come up with
Yes.
to present to.
But tonight, we're talking about tonight, and you failed to do the procedure that's supposed to be done.
Peter, do you have comments specific to the checklist?
Yeah.
For them proceed?
Yeah.
If you do, please make them. Please offer your suggestions.
Sure. But I'm making comments, which is a public hearing. I want those to be recorded in the minutes, please.
Okay, Tara's taking the notes. All right. Do you have comments related to the checklist?
General comment. Basically, this meeting, the public hearing, is about the checklists. And one general statement you stated through the process tonight, checklist supposed to be for the applicant. It's not a checklist for the process of the Department of Planning. So any letters to be sent out by the planning board should not be on the checklist, such as notifying school departments about a new development. That should be done in-house. Okay, so if you want to go through this, or you want to postpone it and continue it for the next meeting, because
we will be continuing the public hearing on this checklist discussion.
So it's already late. You started at 6:30, 3 hours. So I don't know if you want to postpone the public hearing and continue it and go. Then you guys can finish your public workshop and then have your public hearing.
Peter?
No,
Peter?
we're not.
Peter, you're not. Stu, just a second. Peter, you're not a member of the planning board anymore. Stu, Peter, you're not a member of the planning board anymore. We appreciate if you want to make comments contributing to.
Yes, I make comments. That's a comment.
But we're here to determine our course of action until our solicitor tells us we're out of line. So if you have comments specific to any of that, we will take them. Otherwise,
I just did give you a comment on that. So So take it
Well,
as
those
is.
were, all those, I acknowledge, contacting other agencies were already there. Those have been on the attachments. I edited a couple of new ones, but all
I
those,
think you should keep
were-
it simple and make it an improvement. Anything that's in-house with the planning board should be off the application checklist. That's a comment.
okay, thank you for your
Oh, thank
comment.
you for your comment.
Yeah, do you have
Okay.
any others?
So you want to go back to number 1?
Fine, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up again, I hope.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Well, let's see. Not coming up over here because I got 2 computers working. But let's see. It's administrative subdivision, right?
Yep, that's number 1.
Give me a quick explanation of that. What does that include in 30 words or less? Make it simple.
Peter, you were on, you were.
You're supposed to explain this.
So the checklists are part of the regulations.
Right.
Right. And they were advertised as a public hearing for these checklists. If they make changes tonight, it's still a change to the checklist. And so
Correct.
there's no need to re-advertise. So
You didn't open the public hearing, though. See, you didn't open the public hearing, so
Peter,
you have to re-advertise it. You let the lawyer decide this, please. It's in his hands. I don't want to discuss that because I want to go to as soon as I get
Peter,
this.
if you have comments regarding the checklist and what we're actually substantively speaking about today, please share it. If you have procedural comments.
Okay. I'm trying to. Yes, I do have number 1.
Comment. Another public hearing in the future. So it's late. We all want to give you the opportunity to speak.
Well,
but if it could be on the
that's what I
substance of
said.
the
If you
actual
want
comment, that'd be great.
if you want to continue the public hearing for tonight, that'd be fine with me. If you guys are, tired of it.
We're going to have another one. We've already indicated that we were going to do that.
Yeah, I know. If you want to do it now, it's all right with me. To continue the public hearing.
All right, you don't have any more comments to make tonight?
Yeah, I do have a lot, but you don't have sufficient time.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to continue the?
Yeah, I would make a motion to continue the public hearing to our next regular meeting, which is in September.
Okay.
September 1st.
Okay.
Yes, September 1st.
So is there a second?
Second.
Who's that, Dave?
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to continue the public hearing on subdivision regulations and checklist items, attachments to September 1st.
Travis.
All right.
Travis?
Any further discussion?
Travis, please.
Yes.
So when this is continue, will we start right off the beginning here, right off the bat, with 1 through 8 for a public hearing, or are we going to go into the workshop area first?
I can't speak for what the agenda will be for a month from now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, so I'll do the roll call
All right.
for the vote we have a first and a second to continue the public hearing. Rosemary?
Yes.
Stu?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Dave?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right, so that item's continued. All right, oh gosh, where's my agenda? I lost my agenda. Oh, here it is. We have one more item on the back, didn't we? All right, so it's final comment. So if you guys want to review these, we'll try and get the cleaned up versions, the revised versions out to you for review. We'll go forward with the next ones. And then also we have the subdivision regulations that we kind of started on also. Okay, so item D is meeting start time 6:30 versus 7 o'clock. We said we would do it for like 3 cycles and then take a vote if we wanted to continue at 6:30 or at 7. So we'll go back to the 7 time. So do we have a motion for either time?
Make a motion that.
Oh,
Rosemary?
go ahead, Rosemary.
I'm sorry. I'll make a motion that we continue the 6:30 meeting.
Second.
Is that Dave?
Yes.
A second. All right. All right. Any discussion? Is this a hardship for anybody? All right. We're missing 3 of the people, but all right. All right. So we have a motion to continue with the 6:30 start time. We have a motion and a second. So we'll go through again the voice vote. We have Rosemary.
Yes.
Stu?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Dave?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And Christine?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that passes. Okay. It's the last item on the agenda. Thank you for your attention. These are long. What we'll try and do is continue to work on these as time allows at our meetings. It's the only way we can push through. So this public hearing will continue probably in perpetuity before we get through all of these. Anyway, it was a good start. Thank you for your attention and appreciate it. So
Motion
with
to
that,
adjourn.
is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
9:44.
Is that Dave Barry at 9:44? Okay.
Travis, did you get your power back?
Nope.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
I'm by
Candlelight.
Oh.